chat, my lovely chat. It is finally time. Here we go. Welcome on in, everyone. We are going to be checking out the version 5.3 live stream on YouTube and seeing everything that was announced in the live stream. And we're going to be analyzing all of it. We're going to be talking about things that I like, things that I don't like, things that I'm excited for, things that I don't care about, all that fun stuff. And we're going to be just giving our overall impression on the entire thing. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to take this and I'm going to open it in a new tab. And then we have the trailer itself right here, almost 6 minutes long. And then it looks like these are the events, which I think that we can just go through the live stream and we can look at the events in the live stream. So I don't think that we need to open up that video. Okay. So let me click on this and I'm going to pause the video. Okay, it's at 1x speed. I'm going to make sure the quality is max. There we go. And then I don't know if I need to turn the volume up at all, but we'll just put it at like maybe 15% volume and we'll see if that works. Okay. So chat, let's do this. This is the official version 5.3 trailer. Let's take a watch. Let's see what this is about.
魔人戦争の時代、リーウェには新山があった。そこにはトートという名の大きな木があって、生前に多くの罪を犯した魂はトートを越えられず、彼岸にたどり着くことができないと当時の人々に信じられていたの。
That's a very cute outfit.
それなら同志のこの私のセンスを褒めてくれないか。こんにちは。私は陳力の谷工芸品組合のライアンだよ。風を越える。キラキラ。
She looks very cute. I like her.
今夜陣を救う。北条上の秘宝で士気を焼き払う。その陣を敷くとなると代償として誰か一人の命を失うことになるんじゃない。これから先私に会いたくなったらこの梅の枝を見て。
Okay, okay.
すぐ支度を終わらせて早く行こうぜ。旅人パイモン来たか。近道するぞ。ヘルメットをかぶって乗れ。
Holy moly. Yo, Mavuika, let's fucking go. Ooh, yep.
聖夜の巡礼には新たな意味が与えられた。間もなくこの大きな意義を持つ大会が始まる。
メールのある女性を宣言しに来たんじゃないか。
マジかよ。もう一回言ってみようか。マジかよ。おいセッパー。ありがとなコーチ。
もらった。いや。
もうええ。
Ooh, let's go.
アクセル全開。引け太陽の方向。そんな目で見ないでちょうだい。ついついに目を契約を果たせ。口封じは任せたからね。煙のように舞い上がれ。
Hello, mommy. Okay, okay. Why do they make these enemies so hot, dude?
一つずっと気になっていたことがあるんだ。隊長が寝ているところを少なくとも僕は一度も見たことがない。
戦士たちよ、もうしばらくの辛抱だ。いつの日かお前たちを約束の場所に連れて行く。
コメはできたけど反軍の歌は戦いに勝たないと効力を発揮しない。それにエンジン様の運命には死が待つと示されてる。出発すると決めたら一刻も早く元凶を排除せねばならない。でなければアビスの侵食に抵抗する力がどんなに強くとも我々はやがて汚染されバラバラになってしまう。それは世界に見捨てられたという真の孤独よ。そんな。
それほどまで石を乾燥するならば私の姿にひざまずけ。
Holy moly.
光を通せ。
自然なる漆黒の力をもってして何時の歩みが激安なことを証明しよう。我は全てを奪い何と滅する。
我々は一人ではないからだ。
Yo, okay. That's a sick fucking dragon. That's pretty
幸
fucking
運者
dope.
の命の価値は汝の想像をはるかに超えるものだ。汝はその手で世界の希望を握りつぶした。
Say what now? Ooh, that's actually very interesting, chat. I'm curious whose voice was that at the very end there. That is impressive. That is very interesting. Yeah, I'm curious to know. Was that like maybe that was one of the oh, what are they called? The celestial primordials or whatever whatever the name of them is. Basically, like, if you remember all the way back in the very 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 beginning of Genshin Impact, right, with Lumine and with Aether, there was that entity that basically, she separated the two of them. I'm thinking that maybe it could be not 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 the exact same character, not the exact same like villain or whatever, but maybe it was like a character or an entity that is equally as powerful as one of those like kind of celestial beings, right? The primordial one or whatever the heck that they go by, right? Yeah, I'm very very curious to know who that was speaking at the end there. Could it maybe have also been like the ruler of death, perhaps? The one who like basically Mokuika made a bet, or not a bet, but like a deal, a pact with the ruler of death. And so maybe the ruler of death is saying like, essentially, I have come to collect the life of Mavuika, which was offered to me as a part of this deal, and I no longer care about the fate of Natlan, right? Very, very curious, very interesting trailer. I will say, so, okay, I have two kind of major thoughts going on in my head, right? Number one, obviously I love Lantern Right, I love Leeway, I love the characters, right? But I will say it is a little bit strange having both Lantern Right and also having, these major events happening in Natlan, right? I think it's weird having both of these two things coincide, and having this trailer focusing on both two different regions, right? Because I think that, like, in the past with Genshin Impact, I think that there have been version updates where, there's been, let's say hypothetically, an event in Mondstadt or in Leeway or in Inazuma or whatever. There have been events, like limited events, something kind of a little bit similar to Lantern Right. But even though there have been these limited events in other regions, those limited events were not like a major, significant event that was like, game changing, right? I think that Lantern Right in Genshin Impact is a major, massive festival, and it is something where like when Lantern Right is happening, it is the highlight, it is the priority, the focus of the game, right? And so I think that pairing Lantern Right, which is something very important, very significant, very, meaningful, with also the major stuff that's happening in Natlan, it kind of feels like these two, occurrences should be put in separate patches. Like, I think that, okay, basically, let me give an example, right? I think that, okay, in version, I think in maybe version 5.0 or 5.1, we had like a major part of the Archon quest, right? And players could go through it, they could experience the story. But then after the Archon quest, there was maybe one or possibly two version updates where there was no new Archon quest. There was nothing new that was released in the game, right? So, in all honesty, there have been at least one, if not two, Natlan version updates where they were filler patches, where there was nothing happening whatsoever, right? And, I personally feel like what Hoyoverse could have done, and I think what they quite honestly should have done, is make it to where basically, um, let's say hypothetically, okay, version 5.2, the version that we are currently in right now in Genshin Impact, I think that if they had released, Movuika and Sitlali in version 5.2, that would have been perfect. That would have been amazing. That would have been incredible. And I think that Genshin players everywhere would have been happy with that. And one of the reasons why is because, for those who are unaware, version 5.2 is currently happening. And the day that version 5.2 disappears is going to be, I believe, January 1st, maybe January 2nd, right? So, basically what that means is that, right now it is December, and I think today is December 20th, I want to say. I think December 20th sounds right. Yeah, December 20th. And in 5 days from now, it's going to be Christmas, right? That's a major holiday in the West. It's a major holiday in the US and some other countries as well. I think that if Movuika and Sitlali were released in version 5.2, you could have basically advertised or marketed these characters as sort of like essentially Christmas presents, right? Where it's like, oh, check it out. These two brand new characters were super cool, and a lot of people like these characters. They are available during the, during like the winter season, the holiday season, the Christmas season, right? And I think that like, giving players this sort of imagination where it's like, oh, these characters are, kind of like winter holiday characters, right? Having that sort of advertising, that marketing around that would have been really nice, right? And it would have given Genshin players a good substantial amount of content to enjoy in version 5.2. Because I'm going to be honest, I can speak about version 5.2, and I think that maybe version 5.1 was also a little bit similar. I personally was extremely bored out of my mind in version 5.2. I felt like there was nothing happening in the game, and I felt like it was, I felt like, I was basically just playing a game where I log in, I do chores, and then I log out. You know what I mean? I felt like there was nothing. There was no content. There was nothing exciting, nothing interesting. So if Sit Lolly and Mavuika were released in 5.2, that would have been incredible. And then in 5.3, you could be like, okay, guys, we are going to take a little bit of a break from Mavuika and Sit Lolly. We are going to focus on Lantern Rite, and we're going to be celebrating Lantern Rite and enjoying the Lantern Rite holiday. You know what I mean? I think that would have been nice. I think that would have not been, if that happened, I don't think that, Genshin players would have been upset. I don't think that they would have been, angry or sad or annoyed or anything like that. I think that they would have been perfectly okay with that, right? But yeah, they could have separated this version update into two, I would say two equally big version updates, one after the other, if they really wanted to, if they really put in the effort into it, right? It's just that they chose not to, and I personally feel like it's a little bit weird how, like, half of this trailer for version 5.3 is focused on Leeway and what's happening there, and to be completely honest, like, Lantern Rite is a big deal. It is a very important, significant, meaningful event, but I think that when you take Lantern Rite and you compare it to what's happening in Notlan, where the story is kind of building up and it's slowly reaching a point where it's going to hit the climax of the story, right? I think that comparing Lantern Rite to Notlan right now, it doesn't really feel equally as exciting or hype or interesting, So yeah, I feel that way, right? Now, my next point that I'm going to make, the second thought that I had about this trailer is, even though I did feel confused with both Lantern Rite and Notlan being a part of the same trailer, overall, I think especially with the Notlan section of this trailer, I am very, very excited. I'm very interested. I'm very much eagerly looking forward to version 5.3, without a doubt. I think that, they showcased Mavuika, they showcased Sit Lolly as well. I think both characters look great. And if anyone out there is curious, like, oh, are you going to be pulling for either of them or both of them or whatever, my answer to that, I will clarify on this answer, a little bit later in the live stream. But right now, what I can tell you is that basically the short and sweet answer is I will be pulling for Mavuika. That is a guarantee. And then I think I'm going to skip Sit Lolly. And I will talk about all of this after we go through the live stream and after we analyze all the details and whatever, and I'll explain, I'll elaborate, I'll give more details. But yeah, this is basically my sort of like thought process watching this 6-minute trailer for version 5.3. Okay, so now we can go ahead and take a look at the live stream here. For the live stream, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it at 2x speed. I'm going to put it at 1080p quality. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to skip past the trailer here since we already watched it. Skipping. Okay. I think this is where we can start the live stream. Okay, so we have the first redemption code, which is UAMPGJASECZH. Wow, what a very lengthy and kind of like random, annoying redemption code. Thankfully, I have already, taken these redemption codes and I've redeemed it on my account. So if you guys have not already done so, I highly recommend that you guys do it. We have that redemption code. Okay. Can I skip forward here? Nice. Alright, so before we dive on into this live stream, I do want to kind of like put a little bit of a disclaimer out there for those of you who are watching. As you guys saw before I started the live stream, I put the video at ×2 speed, just because this video is 55 minutes long and I'm not sitting here for 55 minutes. What I'm going to say before we dive on into this live stream is I am basically going to be skimming through this live stream. I'm going to be like, kind of going through the entire video and kind of just browsing through it. I'm going to be, taking a very, very like quick and very just, how do I say this? I'm going to be like essentially just looking at the entire video from a very like broad perspective, just breezing through it and trying to like pick out the important parts of the live stream and focusing on the important parts. And I'm gonna really like kind of just push aside anything that is not really big, massive, major information that I want to know or that I need to know, right? Obviously, to those of you out there, if you want to watch the live stream for yourselves, if you want to see the entire thing or certain parts of it, not at 2x speed, you want to watch it normally, of course, without a doubt, you can go onto YouTube, you can go and search up this live stream, you can search up this video, and you can watch it for yourself. But for the purposes of me reacting to all of this, I'm going to basically speed up the process. I'm gonna make it faster, so that it's not a lengthy process to scrub through, right? So yeah, let's do this, shall we?
欢迎来到原神攻略3版的前瞻节目，我是你们熟悉的战斗设计师鸡哥。那今天特别热闹，我邀请了2位幕后实力嘉宾，那个2位小伙伴给大家打个招呼吧。
Hello，听众大家好，我应该是你们的老朋友了，我是战斗设计师杨晨。
Hello，我是来自新闻任务设计师李爽，数字界面请多关照。对，欢迎2位。
OK，
就刚才看鸡哥在那边点火，一瞬间我还没到大结局哪失处。
确实啊，对于这么多火炬，这让我想到大，再加上刚刚放的现场音乐，着实是有些氛围感。对，看来大家都会刚才的华为视频了。不过这次我们是任务名字 确实来到环视13字，找事业的环视也确实很符合我们今天现场的一个氛围啊。那鸡哥既然提到，那我们就赶紧进入正题吧。先从练弹的魔神任务开始给大家介绍介绍。行啊，那法库的情节发展至今啊，大家的感受或许会有一些变化。我记得在5.1的时候，可能与日们还对纳还要进行这场战争啊，没有太多的体会。而从5.1的魔神任务开始
Okay, so they're currently talking about basically the specifics of the Archon quest, which I like. It's good information to know about, but I feel like you basically just need to go into the game and play the Archon quest yourself in order to, like, you know, learn about it and understand it, right? There's not really any need to listen to all of the stuff that they talk about when it comes to the Archon quest beforehand, right?
其他阿姨以及各个部族伙伴的协助，也要付出巨大的代价。但我还是希望有些听友估计会好奇啊，除了马维塔和娜亲自在5.3版本上线后去体验吧。还有，千万不要忘，在5.3版本期间完成魔神任务第5章第5幕，就可以领取额外的。
Okay, so you get a reward for doing the Archon quest early, yeah.
详细的聊聊，这位在5.3版本中的绝对关键人物。作为战争过中娜的神灵，正因为马维塔有足够强大的实力，所以才承担起了许多类似拯救娜的这样巨大的责任。而且马维塔是特别的，相信女性们对其他国家的神灵也都非常熟悉了。但马维塔是目前为止唯一一名统治人类的神灵，也正因为如此，他更能体会大人现在的困难。是的，是的。那我们之前还开玩笑，就如果为了提拔他变成一个最强人类，马维塔一定是一个非常有经历的人选。是啊，毕竟有2个人会像他一样有如此壮烈的过去，还经历了500年的岁月磨练。是啊，那既然如此，不如让我们先通过一个短片了解一下火神马维塔的因子吧。
I will say, I think that Mabuika, I mean, even if you don't even look at the combat performance, I think that she's an amazing exploration character, without a doubt.
不愧是火神啊！那看完这个就热血燃起来了。虽然参与了整个开发过程，但亲自看到他的表现，我还是会被震撼到的。对啊，我第一次看到他战斗表现的时候也非常惊讶。不过也可以说他很符合我在制作剧情内容时候对他强大实力的想象。所以我在考虑玩伴的时候也想做一些符合他身份和经历的设计。哎，那不当成你给我们自己聊了呗。为了凸显马维塔的有些技能，我们会设计了好多模组。
Two combat modes, okay? One involves her fighting with her claymore, right? So it says here, Ring of Searing Radiance will follow the active character and periodically attack nearby opponents, dealing pyro damage, okay? And then another mode where she uses her motorcycle. So when using her claymore, not only can she attack while on the field, she can also assist other characters with their attacks while she's off-field, dealing pyro damage to opponents, okay? Very nice. Okay, so it seems like... Alright, that kind of makes sense. So when she's using her claymore, right, she basically is more of like a sort of a support character, right, who buffs the other teammates, benefits them, and provides, like, you know, some pyro application, some pyro damage off field, right? When you bring her on the field and you have her in her motorcycle state, she kind of becomes this sort of on-field DPS of sorts. I don't know how strong her on-field DPS is going to be. Like, maybe it's going to be quite impressive, it's going to be quite powerful, and it'll be worth using. Or it might be something like kind of as... Like, imagine that you have a team, and you have a main DPS character, but then you have Mavuika as sort of like a secondary, you know, like a sub-DPS character, where when you put Mavuika on the field, she can deal damage, and it's not like very pathetic damage, it's not, you know, very irrelevant damage, but it's also not like hyper carry DPS, I think. That's very, very interesting. Yep, so you can use it for exploration. Very, very nice. I like the fact that it's very versatile. It can go on water, it can go in air, it can go on the ground, right? It's really nice. And you can combo it with the other, you know, not long characters, right? Okay. So they mentioned a couple of different things there, right? Basically, what they mentioned is that, okay, when it comes to Mavuika's elemental burst, right, instead of it being based off of elemental energy, right, what happens is that any time that your teammates either do normal attacks or they do Night Soul damage against the enemies, she accumulates something called Fighting Spirit, and then that will allow you to activate her burst attack, right? So that's something very important to take note of, okay? And then they also talked about 2 different, like, passive abilities that Mavuika has, where I think it said something about how, like, the more Night Soul damage that your team deals, I believe that Mavuika increases attack for your team, the more Night Soul damage that you deal, right? So the more Night Soul damage you deal, the more attack buffs you get, or something like that, right? And then the second talent, or the second passive that she has, is that I believe she buffs certain elemental reactions. And I think they're going to talk about it right now. Let me play the video and let me see what they say. Yep. Okay. Alright, hold on. Let me take a moment to go back a little bit here. So, Mavuika's attack increases when Night Soul Burst is triggered. The more fighting spirit she has, the more powerful her elemental burst will be. That makes sense. Yep, okay. Mavuika's attack increases when Night Soul Burst is triggered. Okay. After Mavuika uses Elemental Burst, she increases the damage dealt by the active character based on her fighting spirit. Okay, so the more fighting spirit that she has, right, when you activate the Elemental Burst, the more of a buff that she will give to the active character, right? Interesting. Okay, that makes sense. All right, let's keep going, shall we? I don't really care that much about knowing about this like quest content before it's released in game. Like I'll figure it out when the quest is released in the game. I don't need to know about it ahead of time, right? Okay, let me see here. Get free level up materials. Ooh, okay. So this is an animated short video. All right, let me change the speed to 1x speed so we can enjoy this, chat. Let's check out this this trailer right here. This is not the animated short. This is a teaser for it.
Do you think there'll be sunsets like this in the far future too?
After the evening flame burns away all evil, the peaceful night will finally arrive. Hey sis, you have a mission to do. Remember?
I do. There's people watching the sky. I can't keep them waiting.
Animated short sunset. Interesting. Very nice. I will say, chat, you know, this is just a me thing. It's a personal preference. I play Genshin in Japanese, right? I don't play it in English voiceover. And, you know, anytime that I watch, you know, like a video online, you know, from like, for example, the Genshin Impact channels, right? I always try to watch the Japanese version just because I love the Japanese version the most, right? It's my favorite. I personally do not really love the English voiceover for Genshin or even for other video games out there. It's not just Genshin Impact, right? If there is the opportunity to listen to something, to watch something in Japanese or in basically the sort of like native language that it was created in, right? Let's say it's like a Chinese made video, then, you know, watching the video in Chinese, I think that is much more preferable in my opinion. So when this animated short comes out, I absolutely will be watching the Japanese version. I will not be watching the English version. But it looks pretty good. Like the animation looks really clean, looks really nice. And I can't wait for it. I will say, so, you know, I am not someone who is like very familiar with like the whole, I guess, universe of Hoyoverse games, right? I'm not very familiar with, you know, Honkai Impact 3rd or Zenless Zone Zero or, you know, Honkai Star Rail or whatever, right? I think that whatever information that I have about these games and the lore behind them and whatnot, it's very surface level. It's very basic, you know? However, what I have learned is that apparently, I believe in Honkai Impact 3rd, right, there is a character in that particular game, in the particular story, that is, you know, the defining feature of this character is that she has long flowing red hair, and she was like a main character of the story. And, you know, this is a little bit of a spoiler, but I feel like Honkai Impact 3rd is such an old game that it doesn't really matter. In the story, this character with this long flowing red hair, she ends up dying. And, you know, she sacrifices herself for a very noble cause, right? And I believe that in Honkai Star Rail, you know, the brand new version of the Honkai games, there is a similar character who goes by a different name, who also has long flowing red hair. And there is this sort of joke, there's this sort of meme that runs in the Hoyoverse community, where basically a lot of people, they say very, you know, jokingly, right? They say that the character in Honkai Star Rail, who has this long red flowing hair and resembles the character in Honkai Impact 3rd, she is destined to also die, right? And I'm pretty sure that, you know, very likely long ago, people who they saw Mavuika, they saw the Pyro Archon in Genshin Impact, and they saw her similarity to these characters in Honkai Impact 3rd and Honkai Star Rail, they very likely made some sort of a connection. Whether it's actually truthful and factual or whether it's just like a conspiracy theory or whatever, they very likely saw Mavuika, and they likely had that same sort of thought in their head where it's like, well, this character, they were a character that died in Honkai Impact 3rd, therefore, you know, similar to the character in Honkai Star Rail, Mavuika is probably destined to die, just like, you know, the sort of like counterparts, quote unquote, in these other Hoyoverse games, right? It seems like for some reason characters that have long flowing red hair, they are just like, you know, unconsciously magnetically drawn towards death and towards, I guess, like nobly sacrificing their lives for something, right? But yeah, I'm very, very curious to see, you know, how this animated short, you know, how it comes out and how it performs, you know, whether it's going to be a good quality animated short. I think that it very likely will be. And yeah, I wonder basically how Mavuika's entire character story is going to end up, right? Like, what are the results of it? But yeah, that's going to be on December 23rd, so 2 days before Christmas. All right, let's keep going, shall we?
其实除了火神，还有一些人也在为拯救纳塔而奔走。
Ah, we have Zitlali here, right? Another brand new 5-star.
在纳塔死对抗，希特拉利亚在第一场对谁无家可归后，在与深渊惨烈的对抗中，希特拉利应该是纳塔最能直观感受到战争所能带来的荒唐人之一。没错，毕竟她是因为部族最为厉害的大三们，对纳塔明白能变化的感知更加女人。毕竟是能力越大责任越大嘛。但在之前的魔神任务剧情当中，相信大家对这位性格比较特别，然后对女性的呢也格外关照的奶奶印象应该更深刻。我还记得在我们演魔神任务里面，女性的派魔当时不小心听到希特拉利的心声，对没错。后来跟他提起的时候，他反应可有趣了，确实是一个看起来有点表里不一的奶奶。没错，感觉她是那种看起来有点难以非常可靠的。毕竟拥有还要是奶奶。那我们一起来看看吧。
All right, let's see here.
I'm never late. Get to work.
That's a very cute pout right there. That's a very, very cute face right there. I will say one thing, chat. I find it a little bit weird, right? Especially hearing it in English. I find it a little bit weird that one of her plushies is named It's Papa, right? It's Papa. And I don't know why. It's something that I can't really explain. But whenever I hear Zitlali saying the name of the plushie out loud, it kind of sounds like she's calling her plushie her father, right? Like it sounds like she's saying Papa rather than It's Papa. And I don't know, it just like, basically the way that I can describe it is that when I hear it, it sort of breaks any sort of immersion that I have with like what I'm watching, right? So, you know, I could be watching this gameplay of Zitlali, and I can be like, oh my god, Zitlali, she's so adorable, she's so cute, I love the way that she behaves and whatnot. And then I hear her say the name of the plushie, and I'm just like, whoa, that just sounded a little bit wacky, a little bit, you know, bizarre, and not very like, I guess natural or, you know, organic, right? And yeah, it doesn't really feel like a very good choice for a name for that plushie, right? I feel like they could have gone for something else. I think that maybe there's a good chance that the name of that plushie, when you say it in other languages, maybe it sounds different and it sounds not as bad. But I think in English it's a little bit wacky, and I'm not really a big fan of it, you know. But yeah, no, that was a pretty decently good short, you know, showcase of Zitlali, without a doubt. Yeah.
在战斗中呢，希特拉利可以驱使并组织力量，为队伍的伙伴提供互动和增益。而在满对应场面的时候，希特拉利还能进行实时的对应输出。我刚才看到两个类似做的小东西，他们也和希特拉利进行了嘛？没错。大家现在看到的这两个小跟班的黑色小家伙叫做伊兹哈纳，白色大家伙呢叫做希特拉利。这是在战斗看中的时候，他们也会
Zitlali and It's Papa.
善于防爆然后靠墙，甚至还会被盗取这种各种帮助输出的人过于全面了。就连烟女主自己能够练习来空中超神的能力，也把他们两个给带走了。这不会是要是奶奶呢？和欧文一样，就是在当前场上角色处于空中的时候，希特拉利也能够以一种驾驶状态登场。那想必希特拉利和欧文一样，对烟女主的种种特殊能力也应该是驾轻就熟了吧？没错。实际上呢，当我们见到这里需求的时候，就一直在想怎么能够在技能当中体现它的这些特点。就比如小跟班唤醒风暴，就像是要表现的默契，惹怒人的驾驶能力。这两个小跟班虽然看起来非常好玩，但在战斗中也显得有点可靠。是的，释放出三技能，希特拉利会展开护盾，获得烈风值，并进行烈风驾驶状态，并高唤出黑色的伊兹哈纳。而当希特拉利的烈风值超出一定值时，伊兹哈纳也会进入火爆状态，卷起双羽风暴攻击周围的敌人。而希特拉利的爆发呢，则会驱使两个小跟班同时出击，就是那种他最不耐烦的时候，不管有谁都会上的那种感觉。没想到奶奶战斗中有这么可爱的一面。而他有时爆发不仅会造成伤害，还会在爆炸后为希特拉利恢复烈风值。哎，说到这点上，我有一个小小的疑问，我现在已经有这么多的角色，那么希特拉利奶奶还有什么独特的过人之处呢？首先，希特拉利也和大松子欧文一样，可以在后排的时候保持烈风驾驶状态。而当希特拉利处于烈风驾驶状态时，可以降低冻结和融化变影响到的敌人的水火元素特性。同时呢，希特拉利也会恢复烈风值。哎，那你听听我这么理解是不是对的？也就是说，我应该在队伍中加入水元素和火元素伤害的角色，借由希特拉利的特性来提升他们所造成的伤害。我觉得你理解挺到位的。那杨晨分享了不少战斗情报，我这边也来分享一下和奶奶有关的内容。在5.3版本，我们开启烟女复仇记文的第3幕，在第3幕的剧情中，女性要有机会了解到这位非要是奶奶漫长生命中所经历到的故事，通过希特拉利的视角来探究记忆与历史本身的意义。我说对。哎，但我听说奶奶是否会在家中重新和对历史宅女？那这次剧情会放去求证一下，除了是求让没别的意思。我虽然很想告诉你，当时我还是不能出卖奶奶啊，不过我只能说，这次的剧情女性要对希特拉利有着更深入的了解。好，不要情况了。在限定时内完成烟女主不足记文第3幕的任务，可以额外获得希特拉利的培养材料。哎，说到希特拉利的培养材料，在烟女主不足的互动呢，还有一个是在等待着给予前来。
Ah, so this is the new boss here. New boss, yep.
感觉我们刚才说完马维塔和希特拉利，那其实我们旅行者好像在纳塔没有获得类似纳塔本地人的力量赐福啊。那在我们的前途当中，我也跟大家提到过，因为某些特殊原因，旅行者还不能和纳塔亲身产生共鸣。哎，金哥，你既然都这么说了，是不是就意思是没错？那么在5.3版的魔神任务当中呢，在一个非常特殊的时刻，旅行者将会获得火元素力。
Ooh, okay, so we get Pyro Traveler in the story. That's pretty fucking cool.
旅行者的火元素力还有一个特别的地方，不知道大家记不记得，在剧情里面，我们从希特拉利那里获得一个叫圣夜女之的道具，它会记录旅行者跟纳塔留下的事迹。没错，随着圣夜女之的故事记录了愈发的完整，旅行者的火元素力都越来越强大。而在过去每个不足的记文任务中，我们会获取一个名为卓然的岁月空的道具。没错，这个岁月空。哎，这个，我们先就不打住了。我们设计目的
They basically, I feel like they talked about everything about the Pyro Traveler, and then like at the very end of it, they're like, oh wait, don't spoil all of it. And it's like, I just feel like you guys should have, you know, spoken about everything already, you know? Ah, this is the new, like, massive major boss. It's a giant fucking dragon. I think, so far, in the entirety of Genshin, this boss, right, in terms of visuals, I think it looks the absolute best. I think this is the most, like, cool, badass, incredible boss. Lord of Eroded Primal Fire. The Abyss has mimicked one of Teyvat's strongest type of elemental life forms, a Dragon Sovereign. So, the thing that I wonder about this particular, you know, I guess, like, version, this particular boss, right, is basically I'm wondering, did the Abyss mimic a pre-existing Dragon Sovereign that, like, you know, either is alive or was alive in the past, or did the Abyss basically take all of the different, like, I guess, aspects, right, all of the different characteristics of a Dragon Sovereign, and then create a new, unique, completely different Dragon Sovereign clone from the sort of, like, information that it gathered about dragon sovereigns. You know what I mean? Because if there is a dragon sovereign that exists or that existed in Genshin that is the exact same as this particular abyssal version of it, I think that's pretty fucking dope. And that, goes to show how incredibly powerful this, enemy is, and therefore how incredibly powerful dragon sovereigns are, right? These entities, these beings are just like insanely strong, right? And I think that if you compare them to, archons, or even I think like even the celestial beings, I think that dragon sovereigns could probably take them on, like with a very very fair fight, But yeah, I think this boss is extremely badass. I kind of remember this piece of information, right? There is a Discord server that I'm a part of. I helped to moderate the server. And basically this Discord server, it's for a YouTube content creator who makes videos and guides and whatnot about Genshin and other gacha games. In this server, I remember that people were kind of like talking about this boss, and this was before the live stream happened, right? And one of the people that was in the server talking about this boss, they said that the developers of Genshin, right? They said that they took a lot of inspiration from like Elden Ring and Souls games, right? Because and it's actually quite obvious, like I'll give you some examples here, okay? So number one, right? If you go back and you rewatch the segment where this dragon is fighting, there is an attack that it does where it basically disappears, it vanishes, and then it like basically appears and starts hurtling towards the arena, kind of like a meteor, kind of like an asteroid, that is going to slam into the ground and have like this giant massive AoE explosion, right? That move right there, you can actually go and look in Elden Ring, there's a boss that does that exact same move by the name of Radon, right? So that is inspiration, taken from Elden Ring. Now, two other details, okay? Number one, you see how this dragon is holding two very like, powerful and very special looking swords that seem to, have these very, very unique and interesting, I guess, like abilities, right? This reminds me of basically there's a boss in the Elden Ring DLC, right? The Shadows of the Erdtree DLC. There's a boss that wields a weapon which is called the Twin Swords, right? And one of the Twin Swords, it basically deals magic damage, right? And the color that is sort of like, connected or attached to that sword is the color blue, right? For the magic damage. And then in the other hand, the other like half of the twin sword weapon is a second sword, which basically deals fire damage. And so of course the color associated with that other sword is red. So there's one red sword and there's one blue sword. And this boss in the DLC fights with each sword, one in each hand. So that detail, you can literally see it here in this picture, right? You see a blue sword in the left hand of the dragon, and then this like purple red sword in the right hand. That is, I feel like that is direct, inspiration taken from Elden Ring, right? And then, last but not least, I'm pretty sure this is not the final, detail that is I guess influenced by Souls games, but the fact that this boss is a dragon, right? I know that obviously dragon sovereigns in Genshin Impact, they've been talked about throughout the story. Like, this is not a brand new enemy that they just randomly, one day they were like, oh, let's just design a dragon out of fucking nowhere, right? Dragon sovereigns have been a part of the Genshin story for a while. They've existed for a while. But I think that, one really, cool detail is that there is a Souls game that exists out there by the name of Sekiro. And it is, for those who don't know, it is my number one favorite video game of all time. Of all time. Like, any video game, I think that Sekiro is the number one favorite of mine, right? In Sekiro, there's a boss that you fight against, which is literally a dragon. You fight a dragon, and it is essentially like a boss fight between a human and a god, right? Because like if you think about, Chinese mythology or Japanese mythology, basically like Southeast Asian culture, right? Dragons are usually seen as these incredibly, powerful entities that basically are gods, or they resemble a god, And so there's this like really epic, incredible, amazing boss fight in Sekiro where you fight against a dragon, and it is so enjoyable. It's so entertaining and so fun. And I think that seeing this dragon, it reminds me of Sekiro, while also having elements of Elden Ring, kind of mixed together, right? Yeah. Overall, I really like this boss. I think that this boss is going to be, a breath of fresh air. It's going to be a unique boss that we have not really yet seen before in the game, and I'm looking forward to being able to fight this boss. I hope that this boss is not a pain in the ass to fight, but we'll see, how they design him and how it feels like to fight him when he's released in the game. But yeah, let's keep going, shall we?
愿魔方对象是角色最强大的元素之一，元素龙王。哇，那深渊抽取了残留在地板中的记忆，你再出作为元素龙王，留给我们面前的敌人10面的原野之主。哎呀，看来女巨人们这是要打一场真人硬仗吧？是的。作为战斗神呢，我可以给大家一些小小的策略建议。举个例子来说，原野之主会不断地向女巨人们发动袭击，而且呢，会试图在战斗中摧毁女巨人们所有的平台，不断地去缩小我们安全作战区域，把我们并入绝境。所以呢，在躲避原野之主的攻击的同时，女巨人们也时刻注意战斗区域的变化。当然，那它也和其他的深渊魔物一样，高频率的元素攻击可以触发它的作战状态，而夜火系的元素攻击则会变得更小。女巨人们也可以尝试发挥对方角色的独特能力，尝试更多的策略。而在值得一提的是女巨人们在获得火元素力之后，在面对10面的原野之主时，也会有额外的优势哦。那接下来是不是该到了击中人心的活动体育环节了？
Okay, nice, awesome. So I'm actually a little bit surprised here, chat, and I think like there's an explanation for this, right? There's an explanation for why this is the way that they decided to do it, right? I think that normally, right? Normally when you have version updates, right? Especially if you are looking at a version update where there's nothing really big happening, it's kind of just like a regular, plain, simple version update. And usually those, live streams, they end up lasting maybe 30 minutes at most, right? I feel like in the past, right? The way that they've done the live streams is they will show the event wishes within maybe, I would say like 10 to 15 minutes of doing the live stream, right? They will showcase what the event wishes are going to be. However, if you take a look at this live stream here, we are basically 50% of the way through the video, and only now are we starting to get to take a look at the event wishes, right? So this is something where I was like, even whenever the live stream was happening, like it was not yet published online and it was happening in the moment, it was happening live, I remember that I was thinking to myself, wow, this is taking kind of a while to showcase the event wishes, right? And so I think this is sort of a basically just a sign that version 5.3 is a massive major update, that there's like a lot of crap going on that they need to share, they need to talk about, they need to explain and whatever. And so this is why they had to wait until the middle of the live stream to bring up the event wishes. But yeah, let's take a look at the event wishes, and I'm going to share my thoughts about it, okay? Okay, so we have first half of version 5.3, we have Mavuika in phase 1, right? And then we also have Sitlali. So it looks like phase 1, both of these banners are going to be live at the same time, which is a little bit interesting. I kind of felt like what they might do is they might have it where Mavuika is in phase 1, and then in phase 2, we would have Sitlali, right? Which I think is like a very standard, design for the character banners in the past, right? They would have 2 brand new characters. One would be in phase 1, the other would be in phase 2, right? But it's very interesting to see that both these new characters are going to be in phase 1. Very, very interesting indeed. So, I think I can go ahead and take a moment to pause here, and I can take a moment to kind of give my opinions and share my thoughts with you guys, right? I mentioned it earlier in this live stream, I mentioned it earlier in this little video here, where I said that, basically the short answer, the short story, is that I will be pulling for Mavuika, without a doubt, no questions, no hesitations, but I will be skipping Sitlali, right? And I want to take a moment to sort of explain why this is the case, right? And elaborate a little bit. So, number one, Mavuika, I think, it's kind of obvious. I think it's kind of common sense. Mavuika is the Pyro Archon, which means that she is very powerful. And, if you take a look at all of the previous Archons that have been released in the game, you look at Zhongli, you look at Venti, you look at Raiden Shogun, you look at, who else is there? Nahida, right? Farina, right? All of these different Archons that have been released so far have been incredible characters in their own ways, right? Very, very powerful, very, very, beneficial characters to pull for, right? And so I think that, not pulling for an Archon, you are basically depriving yourself of a very, very, very incredibly valuable character, right? So, I think it's very common sense, very obvious that a lot of people out there are going to be pulling for Mavuika. Even if they may not necessarily want Mavuika, they may feel like they should pull for Mavuika because she is an Archon, right? I personally, I really like Mavuika's design. I like how she looks. I like her attacks and everything. There's only one detail that I am not a very big fan of, which is that she is a Claymore character. For those of you who, are not aware of this, which I feel like a lot of people should already know this about me, if you watch my Twitch streams and, maybe if you've seen some of my older YouTube videos out there, I am very, very, very just like, what's the word I'm looking for? I am not afraid to, confidently state that I really, really, really hate Claymore characters. I think that the Claymore weapon in Genshin Impact, it is one of the worst weapons ever. Because when I look at different types of weapons, I prefer weapons that are basically very fast. They are very agile, very rapid. I can attack enemies quickly, and I can, basically take down enemies very stylishly with a lot of rapid attacks, one after the other, right? Without pausing, without taking a break or whatnot. So when you compare it to something like a giant, massive Claymore, right? It's a big, fat, heavy sword that you have to swing around. And, I feel this way whenever I play, for example, Souls games and Souls-like games, and I also feel this way when I play games like Genshin, right? I think that the way Claymores feel in these games, it just, it feels so agonizingly slow and pathetic, right? And, smacking an enemy with a Claymore, it does not really bring any sort of satisfaction to me. It doesn't make me happy whenever I do it. You know, there are some people out there where they're like, oh my god, I feel so powerful. I feel so, like so impressive whenever I get to smack an enemy with a big giant sword. And I'm like, I guess, but it does not feel very, comfortable and very, very like optimal, right? Very, very efficient to me, I think that I would rather kill an enemy by attacking them many, 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 many times over and over again, rapidly, in quick succession, right? Without having to swing a weapon, then take a breath, swing the weapon again, then take a breath, swing the weapon again, right? And have this like really annoying delay between swings, right? It just, yeah, it does not feel powerful. It does not feel good to me to use a Claymore. So I really dislike Claymore characters in Genshin and in other games as well. And therefore, the fact that Mavuika is a Claymore character, it is quite disappointing to me. I am quite, unhappy about that. However, I think the good news about Mavuika, the reason why I'm willing to pull for her, is that, for example, number one, you are not really going to be on field with Mavuika swinging your Claymore around and attacking enemies, right? You basically are going to, if you want to use her, without using her special motorcycle attack mode, right? You use her abilities and then you swap her off field and you put in your main primary DPS, right? And then, number two, if you do want to use her on field, if you do want to have her attack enemies, right? You can go into that special motorcycle mode where you don't even have to bother with her Claymore at all. You don't have to feel so ineffective and inefficient using her Claymore, right? So I think that Mavuika is a special character where I don't have to suffer playing a Claymore character like the pre-existing Claymore characters that are in Genshin already, and that makes me happy. That's something that I'm like, okay, because of that, I can live with Mavuika, I can tolerate that she's a Claymore, and I will pull for her, and I like her, right? So there's that, okay? Now, let's talk about Sitlali, okay? I actually, brought this up in my Discord server. I mentioned it very quickly as I was, like, basically just sharing my thoughts about version 5.3. Essentially, this is the way that I feel about Sitlali, okay? I think that Sitlali is basically, like, if I were to use this sort of metaphor or this analogy, right? I think that Sitlali is like a 99 out of 100. Okay, what does that mean? That means that basically I think that Sitlali is very, very, very close to being a, quote unquote, right, a very subjectively perfect character, right? I really like, her personality. I like, the way that she looks in combat, right? Her attacks and everything like that. She's a cryo catalyst character, right? Seems like she's very useful, very, very beneficial as a support character for teams, right? And I think that like almost every single aspect of her character design is really well done, right? So she's a 99 out of 100. The only reason why Sitlali is not a 100 out of 100 is basically the following reason, okay? Now, this right here is purely, completely, totally a personal perspective. And I don't expect anyone out there to agree with me. In fact, I'm pretty sure a lot of people out there, love Sitlali, and they will, argue for her, and they will be like, no, she is incredible, she's amazing, I love her, I can't wait to pull for her, right? I'm pretty sure I will get a lot of shit for saying this, right? But, okay, this is kind of more of just a personal thing, right? I think that when it comes to character preferences for me, okay, a lot of the time, I would say that I really prefer characters that have two kind of aspects to them that are very equally important, right? I think that basically you can have a character where essentially they are extremely, extremely good looking, right? Like they, if they're, for example, a female, you would say that they look really, really beautiful and very sexy, very hot and whatever. And then if they're a male character, you'd be like, he's incredibly handsome and muscular and ripped and jacked and insanely like hot as a man, right? I think that you can have characters like that, right? In my opinion, I think that if you have a character where you look at that character and in your head you think to yourself, man, this character, they're so cute, they're so adorable. I love, their personality, I love their visual design and everything. They're just the cutest thing ever, and I love them, right? Because of how, adorable that they look or that they act, right? That they behave. If you have a character that exudes that type of vibe, right? For me personally, I like it whenever basically those characters have two sides to them, right? There is the side of them where you look at them and you're like, man, they're so cute, they're so adorable. But also, simultaneously, those characters have another aspect of their design where they can also be very attractive. They can be very beautiful, they can be very pretty, very sexy, very hot, whatever. And this goes for, this can also go for men as well, right? You can have this guy where, there's, let's say you have a male character and he's very handsome, he's very good looking, he's very sexy, he's got this like smolder or whatever, right? simultaneously, he can also have a side where, you know, you look at this male character and you're like, oh my god, he's acting so incredibly cute and very, very adorable for a guy, you know? And you're like, this is what attracts me to that male character, right? So it's like, when it comes to my preferences, if there is a character out there that gives off this vibe of cuteness and adorableness, I also want that character to have another aspect of their personality where they can be seen as beautiful and sexy and hot and attractive, right? I really, really enjoy the mixture of those aspects, right? And so, what's going on? Music, welcome on in. How's it going? How you doing? So, you know, looking at a character such as Sitlali, right? This is a great example, right? I think I'm just gonna go like I'm gonna go ahead and say it. I'm just gonna go ahead and speak my mind, right? And you know, I hope that this does not sound too harsh, and I hope that this does not sound too insulting of her character. But basically, you know, I feel like when it comes to a character like Sitlali, right? When you look at her visual appearance, there's really nothing about her visual appearance that gives off this vibe of like basically sexiness or appeal, you know what I mean, or attractiveness, you know? Like, let me give you an example here. If we go back here, hold on, they went over it a little bit too fast. There we go. Okay, so let's take a look at Mavuika, right? We have Mavuika on the screen right now. Mavuika is a character where you look at her, and I mean, you could, if you really examined her personality and her behavior and whatever, you could have this image in your head where you're like, oh my god, Mavuika looks so cute and adorable and lovely, right? But I think that one of the biggest selling points of her is that she has this sort of vibe of being this very, you know, very like mature, sexy, attractive, appealing, sort of like a mommy character, right? And you're like, oh my god, you know, she exudes this vibe where it's just like, you know, I love her, you know, I want her to be a waifu, right? I don't really get that same feeling from Sitlali. I really don't. And I feel like, you know, one of the, I guess, like, biggest aspects of Sitlali, right? I think one of the unfortunate things about Sitlali, let's take a look at Sitlali here, right? So, okay. This is basically my number one reason why I'm not pulling for her. And I know that there's probably going to be a lot of people out there who love Sitlali, and when you hear this, you are going to probably rage, and you're probably going to shout at your screen and be like, wow, this guy who's talking is an idiot. And if you say that, it's totally fair. I can't, you know, disagree with you. I cannot argue against you, right? But basically, one of my biggest reasons for not pulling for Sitlali is I legitimately think that the way Sitlali is dressed, the way that, like, you know, the clothing that she is wearing, honestly, man, it looks boring. It looks lame. It looks a little bit cringe. I look at what she's wearing, and, you know, when you think about the story of Sitlali, you think about her character in the game, she's portrayed as this character where, you know, she's basically like a grandma, right? She's someone who, in terms of age, she's quite old, and she's been around for a while. She's very wise, you know, she's very similar to Faruzan from Sumeru, right? I feel like with this choice of clothing, the way that she's presented visually, I see her as a grandma. Like, I look at the clothing and I'm like, oh my god, there is no young character. There's no, you know, character who, let's say that hypothetically there was a character in Genshin that is like 20-something years old or 30-something years old, right? They're kind of like a younger character, right? And more, I guess, like comparable, more realistic to human beings, right? You would not find those characters out there wearing clothing like this. This is legitimately, the way that I would describe it, is old people clothing. This is what, you know, grandmas and grandpas wear. This is not young people clothing. So I look at this clothing and I think, like, there is no appeal there. There's no attractiveness there. Nothing at all, right? I look at that clothing and I think, man, no, that's not it. I don't really love that. No. So it's really sad because, as I mentioned, I think that Sitlali is a 99 out of 100 character. If the developers of Genshin tweaked her costume, her outfit, her clothing, and they tweaked it and they improved it a little bit better, right? She would have been a perfect character, and I would have been so, you know, incredibly happy to spend my Primo Gems and pull for her. But because of the way that she looks visually, I don't really have any sort of desire to pull for her at all, right? And it's kind of sad. It kind of sucks because I feel like, in terms of her utility, if you think about, you know, how she performs in combat, I think she's going to be a very, very useful, very powerful character. I think she's going to be very good quality, you know, to have on your account. So it'll hurt for me to skip this character, but I think that, you know, I would rather skip this character and pull characters that I actually like, that I actually want, in order to have fun in the game, right? Not just to pull for characters because they're strong, because they're, you know, useful and powerful and all that fun stuff. Yeah, it's kind of a shame. And, you know, I'm gonna mention this, you know, one last thing, which, you know, I think that this is very likely a controversial opinion, right? Okay, so let me explain it in this way, right? One of the social media apps that I use quite a lot is Twitter. And the reason that I use Twitter, I actually talked about this. I did a YouTube live stream a couple days ago, and I talked about this in my YouTube live stream. One of the reasons I use Twitter is that I am following a crap ton of artists. Like, I think that every single account, almost every single account that I follow on Twitter is a professional artist, right? And when I checked on YouTube, I think I looked on my Twitter account. I was following, I think, like 5,000 and like 800 people or something like that on Twitter, right? And I would say maybe about 5,000 minimum, right, of those people that I follow are artists, okay? So I love seeing artwork. I think that basically my singular only reason for using Twitter is to go on Twitter and I see hot anime men with rock hard abs and sexy faces, right? And then I also see really attractive, sexy women, anime girls, right? Who have this sort of mommy vibe, and they are very, very appealing, very, very hot, right? So I enjoy looking at fan art of anime men and anime women on Twitter. That is something that I have no issue, no problem with talking about that and just sharing that information, right? Um, I have seen a lot of really, really, really good Sitlali artwork, right? I've seen a lot of great, amazing, incredible artwork of Sitlali. And you know what's really interesting? All of the good artwork that I've seen of her that I really like, where I'm like, okay, I am bookmarking that. I like that artwork. I am making sure that I have that artwork bookmarked on my Twitter account so that I can, find it later, right? All of the artwork that I've seen, those artists, they took her, outfit that she's wearing and they changed it a little bit. They modified it a little bit. They altered it to give her a little bit more of a sort of like sexy, hot, and appealing vibe, right? And when I saw the artwork, I was like, yeah, I like this. I like Sitlali as a character, right? But then you look at her in-game outfit, this default outfit that she's wearing here. I just don't get that same vibe, right? It's not that same experience, right? So it's like, yeah, I feel like basically I would rather just go on Twitter or go on other social media where they share fan art of Genshin characters. I would rather go and just look at those fan arts that people created of this character rather than pulling for her in the game. That's essentially what it is. And I also will mention, just as a very last note before we move on from this topic, I have seen some other things that were announced during this live stream. Like, this is not me watching the live stream completely blind from the get-go. I've seen some stuff that was announced later on in the live stream, so, I have that knowledge in my head. And I think that knowing about the future characters that are going to be coming out in, version 5.4, 5.5, so on and so forth, right? Knowing about the future characters that Genshin will be releasing at some point, I think it's actually a smart idea for me to pull for Mavuika and save my Primo Gems and not spend on Sitlali as well. Because if I spend Primo Gems on both banners, I will very likely spend a lot of Primo Gems and not really be able to save up for the future. So that's my kind of like last point here that I'll make about this topic, right? Let me see here. What did Music say? Personally, you prefer strong, independent characters, not so much into cuteness. That's totally fair. I don't think that is a bad take at all. I think that a lot of people would potentially agree with that. Yeah. Let's see here. Mavuika is hot in multiple ways. Mature, extremely attractive, sexy, strong, independent. Yeah. Sitlali is more on the cute side. Agreed. Disagree. Sitlali is looking like a granny, trying to look young and sexy. At least for European standards. I suppose so. I suppose if you are looking at this from the perspective of a different culture, it can seem different. But what I will tell you, Music, I'm not sure if you've ever been to the US or if you have a lot of knowledge about the US, but I will tell you very definitively, without any doubt in my mind, if someone in the US was wearing this outfit and walking around, even if they were a young person, even if they were like in their 20s or maybe they were like, let's say, I don't know, 19 years old or whatever, right? Like kind of a young adolescent wearing this outfit, I think that a lot of people would look at that outfit and be like, no, that's not a very good look. That's not a very good visual appearance, right? And I think that a lot of people in the US would look at this and be like, yeah, this is what old people wear. This is not something that young people in the US actively wear and go out and dress like, So yeah. If she was young, she would be hot, but since she's very old and also has a granny personality, you think the clothing doesn't fit her at all. That's a very interesting perspective. Very interesting. I don't know. Like, yeah, as I mentioned, I look at this outfit and I do not get the vibe from this outfit that this is, some kind of a young person's clothing. You know what I mean? Like, let me try to think of an example here. Yeah, I think like, if you were to take this outfit and put this outfit on another character, like let's say you put it onto yeah, let's say like Barbara, right? You put this outfit on Barbara, for example. I do not think this outfit would make Barbara look young, or that, like, you know, it would I don't think that it would make it would like emphasize the young, or sorry, not the young, the youth of Barbara, right? It's not something that really gives off that vibe. If you were to take this outfit and have someone like Barbara wear it, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. It's just, it doesn't give off that sort of appearance. You know what I mean? I can't. I feel like, yeah, if someone like Barbara were wearing this outfit, I think that she would look older than she does wearing Barbara's, regular default outfit, right? But yeah, that's just my perspective. That's my opinion, based on, living here in the U.S. and kind of observing what other people in the U.S. wear, right? But yeah, if it is different in, European countries, that's, that totally makes sense. But I think that, overall, right, I think there's multiple different, I guess, topics that you could debate, you could talk about when it comes to this outfit. For me, the bottom line, right, the sort of like the main root, I guess, like, perspective that I have is that this outfit, right, there is no kind of attractiveness to it. There's no kind of appeal to it where I look at that outfit and think, oh my god, that is something that I feel, like, pulled towards, where I'm like, oh my god, I want all of my waifus to be wearing an outfit like that. You know what I mean? And so because of that, because I don't have this attachment, I don't have this, interest in that type of outfit, that is one of the reasons why I'm not pulling for Sitlali, right? So yeah, but let me move on from this topic, and let's check out the rest of the live stream here. Europeans do see people walking around with similar outfits, but they're all young. I see. As a European, you look at this kind of different since you've seen similar stuff. Yeah. It's kind of like, you think about, for example, how I believe in some European countries, right? It's very, like, very I guess, normal to see men wearing these outfits where they have, like, kind of a skirt. You can think of, like, I think you know I'm gonna sound like a very dumb American right now because I don't know this information off the top of my head, but I'm pretty sure that, like, it's either the Irish and or the Scottish where they have these outfits that they wear, and these outfits have skirts, and they wear skirts, as men. That type of culture, right? Very normal, very acceptable as a European. In the U.S., I think that sometimes when you see, a man wearing, like, a skirt, they are seen as a little bit strange, and people might jump to the assumption where it's like, oh, they might be, like, LGBTQ, right? They might be a potentially a transgender man, or transgender person, right? It's not at all very normal, very common, right? But yeah. Also wearing skirts in real life, but in Scotland it's kind of normal. Here in Austria it's not that common, but nothing special. Yeah, exactly. I'm not saying that it's, like, super common everywhere. I'm saying that, like, it is not judged. It's not really looked at as wacky or bizarre or weird, as compared to, like, here in the US. But yeah, that's very, very true. All right, let me see here. Let's continue with this live stream, see if they talk about anything else interesting. Okay, so we've got the brand new 5-star Claymore, 1,000 Blazing Suns, which is obviously going to be Mavuika's. And then we have, this is Sitlali's Starcaller's Watch Catalyst. Okay. I think this weapon banner is going to be very, very, very tricky. I think, like, what I would want, my desire, is that I really hope the catalyst is something that can be used on other catalyst characters, and not only on Sitlali. Because I feel like if it's only a catalyst that works on Sitlali and nobody else, it will make the weapon banner a lot worse to pull on, I think. So that's going to be very, very, very tricky. Very tricky. Let's see. The music said, going on nude beaches as well. It's not a thing here. Going to the beach fully or partially nude. No one cares. No one looks. Just enjoy the summer sun is what counts. Yeah, I know about that kind of culture as well. I'm familiar with that, yeah. All right, let's see here. Let's keep going. Okay, so here's the second code here. Gonna be taking a little bit of a break to share the code. I saw an announcement chat. There was something that they posted on Twitter, I think earlier today, if I'm not mistaken, where they basically said that from now on, they're going to be extending the redemption period for these Primogem codes. And so they're going to last for 48 hours, which, for those of you who are not really aware about this, right? In, like, the very early days of Genshin, I'm pretty sure that when they did these version update live streams, they would have it to where you could redeem the code up to 48 hours after the code was announced, after it was, publicly shared to the player base, right? It was like up to 48 hours you could redeem it, I think. But then I don't know why, right? I don't have any sort of logical explanation for this. During one of the version updates, right, during one of the live streams, they changed it to where you only have 24 hours to redeem the primo gems, and if you don't redeem it within 24 hours, you lose out and you cannot get those primo gems back, right? You can't basically redeem it and earn the rewards, right? You are just minus 300 primo gems, right? And when that happened, I was extremely furious. I was extremely angry about it, very pissed off, because I think that during one or during multiple of my of like the prior version update live streams, I was like busy and I completely forgot about the redemption, and so I did not redeem the codes within 24 hours and I missed out, and so I got really, really upset, really angry about it, and so I never really understood why Genshin Impact they made that decision. I don't know why that they decided to change it from 48 hours to 24 hours, but it looks like finally, starting with version 5.3, they have increased the redemption time back to 48 hours as it used to be. So thank God for that. That at least I can be a little bit happy about, All right, let's keep going here. So we are now swapping over to talking about the Lantern Rite. Let's see. Okay, it looks like they're gonna be showing a video here for the Lantern Rite. Let's see what they showcase. I will say, this Hu Tao outfit, this brand new outfit that they're releasing here, it looks extremely adorable, right? Yeah, like this outfit right here is so cute, so adorable, right? Yeah, so it says here, after the version 5.3 update, this outfit will be available at a limited time discount in the shop. Man. I honestly wish that these, skins that they offer, I wish that they were free. I really do. Yeah, it's a massive shame that they cost money. But I think, like, the good news is, if you are a smart spender in Genshin Impact, if you know how to basically spend your money at the right time and save up, you can actually get these skins without having to spend, like, $50 or whatever in order to get the currency, right? So it's not terrible, but I do wish that these skins were not constantly locked behind paywalls. It's just, it's unfortunately a thing that Genshin has to do in order to earn profit and kind of just like, yeah, basically to try and get their players to spend money on the game, right? Very, very cute, adorable outfit. I will be getting this outfit on my account just because I have Hu Tao. I use Hu Tao in certain content, and this outfit is extremely adorable. I will, like, Hu Tao's default outfit is not horrible. It's not like the worst thing ever, but I think that it is a little bit bland, a little bit boring in terms of design. I'm not really like the biggest fan of it. So having a brand new outfit here is a great change of pace. It's a great, new addition to the game, right? And now we've got Xiangling's brand new outfit. I think it's very cute. I think it's very, very, very adorable. I like this outfit a lot. But what I will say is that, it's actually really funny. So there's a Discord server that I'm a part of for a, Twitch streamer, right? Who plays Genshin and plays other gacha games. And there was a person who commented in that server. I remember seeing this comment where they said, "Oh my god, Xiangling new outfit." And they said, this outfit actually kind of makes me like Xiangling, right? And basically they were saying that before this outfit, they never really liked Xiangling and they never wanted to play her. They never wanted to use her in the game. But now that she has this brand new outfit, she is supposedly, like, according to them, she is much more likable. And yeah, it looks like that person might start playing Xiangling more in the game. But yeah, this is a very, very adorable, very cute outfit. I like it a lot. It's a good, improvement on Xiangling's basic outfit, her default one, right? I think it's a wonderful, wonderful new addition to the game. And the fact that the Xiangling outfit is free, it doesn't cost any money, I think that's also a very big benefit as well, a great thing, So yeah. Let's see, as the Lantern Rite approaches, you and Paimon arrive at Liyue Harbor, ready to enjoy the festival with old friends and new friends alike. Very nice. So you get Xiangling's outfit from the Lantern Rite event, Springtime Charms, and you get other rewards as well. Very, very cute, very adorable. Damn, Zhongli actually having some money. So it looks like this will be, I guess, like, a big aspect of the Lantern Rite, having those, like, giant fortune coins. Those skins both looking good. Yeah. The Hu Tao and Xiangling skins, they look very, very adorable, very lovely. I can't wait for their arrival. True. Zhongli, he is now finally able to embody the actual, Archon, the actual god of money for once, I don't really know if I care that much about hearing about every single event that's going to be happening during Lantern Rite, so I might skim through this section. But it looks like we have a brand new character here. Yeah, we do. Okay, so it shouldn't be too long. There we go. Brand new character, Lan Yan. So looking at her design, I think she's very, very pretty. I think she's very beautiful, and I really like her character, right? I have a feeling, right? I have this sort of like prediction that Lan Yan might be a brand new 4-star anemo character, and if that is the case, I will be just like very slightly, very very tiny amount disappointed. But I understand if she is a 4-star. Like it's not something where it's like this is outrageous, it's ridiculous, it doesn't make any sense whatsoever. I just think that she would make a wonderful 5-star character, Let's see here. A Rattan Weaver from Chenyu Vale, clear-minded and well-tempered. She is as lively as a mountain spring. Yeah, she looks very adorable, very pretty. I like her design. I also really like her weapons. She looks very cute. She's interacting with Kachang. That's cute. She's my spirit animal for real. Yeah, these attacks are really freaking cool. I like them a lot. She has the Kaching ability. She also has, it looks like, a lot of good swirl effects. Yeah, I think she might have a little tiny bit of crowd control capability, which is really nice. Ooh, okay. Here we go. Here's the big thing. So, Phase 2 of version 5.3. We have two major banners here. We have Arlecchino, and we also have Clorinde. Ooh, interesting. Very, very nice. Yeah, I think both of these characters, right? Both of these characters, I think, are really, really good quality, very valuable. And I think that both are worth pulling for. But obviously, neither of the two of them are really necessary, right? I think that they're both good, but, you don't really have to pull for either of them, right? What I will say, looking at the event wishes overall, right? Looking at Phase 1 and Phase 2. So in Phase 1, we have Mavuika and Silali. Phase 2, we have Arlecchino and Clorinde. I think it is a little bit... It's a little bit, like, disappointing that the developers... It kind of feels like they're being a little bit greedy, right? And what I mean by that is, I think it is very logical to expect when there's a brand new character that comes out in a gacha game. It's very logical to think about and expect this idea of like, okay, let's say that there's two brand new characters. The way that it would work is that in Phase 1, you would have one brand new character and one rerun banner. And then in Phase 2, you would have one brand new character and one rerun banner, right? Just to balance things out, right? But I think that basically what the developers have done is they have put both the brand new characters simultaneously, right, side by side in Phase 1. And I think what the purpose of that is, the result that they're attempting to achieve is that people who want both Citlali and Mavuika, they will be more tempted to pull out their credit card and to swipe the credit card to get both of them if they do not win 50-50s and they do not have guarantees. Whereas, if they had followed the strategy of one rerun banner and one brand new banner on each phase, then people would be given more time to save up their primo gems between, Phase 1 and Phase 2, right? They would have been able to better plan their spending and potentially avoid pulling out their credit card and spending their valuable money, right? So it kind of feels like this decision by the developers is a little bit greedy and a little bit just like, I don't know, a little bit scummy, if you want to be very critical, very harsh about it, Yeah, I will say that, for me, thankfully, I have both Arlecchino and Clorinde, so I don't need to pull for either of them. But, I think even if, hypothetically, I did not own one of these two characters, I may potentially, still not pull for them and save my Primo Gems because of what may end up releasing in version 5.4, so yeah. Let's see, what did music say here? You can sum it up in terms of Lantern Rite. New skins, Zhongli has money, Tetris minigame. Nice. Lanyan's playstyle looks like a Kaching Sucrose mashup. That's a pretty good way to describe it. Yeah, that's a pretty good way. I will say that, like, in combat, I don't know if Lanyan is going to be, teleporting everywhere like Kaching does, but she does have the Kaching ability to hold her, elemental skill and then, like, kind of teleport or dash or whatever to that location. So that's pretty cool. And yeah, I think that's a very, very accurate description, without a doubt. I do like her playstyle, though. I like her abilities and everything. It looks really, really nice. So assuming that Lanyan is a 4-star character, I mean, she's looking like a very promising, like a very, very useful 4-star character to obtain, Let's see. At the same time, Lanyan will also be available in their event wishes. This, I think, is man, I hate when they do this, when they basically take a new 4-star character and they lock that 4-star character behind rerun banners, and they don't have Lanyan, or they don't have the 4-star character available on the brand new 5-star character banners, right? Yeah, this is quite disappointing, I would say. I'm not really a big fan of this at all. I think, like, so, okay. If we were to dive a little bit into hypotheticals and we were to talk about kind of just like this made up situation, I think that what I would say is, okay, if hypothetically I wanted to pull for Lanyan and I wanted to, get one copy of her, right? I think that what I would probably do is I would pull on one of the banners, either Arlecchino or Clorind, and I think that in the best case scenario, I would get one copy of Lanyan. And then let's say that hypothetically I end up accidentally pulling a 5-star character. I think in the best case scenario, what I would desire is I would actually desire to lose the 50-50. I would lose the 50-50 and get like a permanent standard character, and then for the banners that come out in version 5.4 and later on, I would be guaranteed, to pull whatever 5-star character comes out afterwards. I think that right there would be like the best hypothetical scenario if I had to pull on either of these rerun banners to get Lanyan. Yeah. But for me personally, I'm not someone who, I don't really like taking risks with potentially accidentally pulling a 5-star when I don't want to, because I've done that in the past. I've pulled on banners thinking that the concept of quote-unquote building pity is a legitimate real thing that you should do or that you can do, and I've gotten burned in the past. I've lost 50-50s and I've won 50-50s that I didn't want to win, and I got 5-star characters that I did not want to pull, right? And so that feeling is not a fun feeling, so I basically avoid that at all costs. And I think that I've reached a point in Genshin, right, where nowadays I don't really care that much about collecting 4-stars anymore. Like, I think that if I see a 4-star character, even if I like that 4-star character, even if I want to pull for that 4-star character, if the banner that they are available on is not a valuable banner to pull for, it's not worth the primo gems, I will, I'm at the point where I will skip that 4-star character and I will not attempt to pull for them, just because I feel like 4-star characters, they're good, they're great, they're very nice, very useful in certain teams, certain scenarios, but a lot of the newer 4-star characters are not required. They're very like specific, very niche characters. And I don't need them on my account to succeed, to complete any particular content. So it's like, yeah, the mindset that I basically have is, I don't have to pull them right away. I can wait until there's like, some kind of future banner where they randomly appear as a featured 4-star, and I can pull them at that point, right? And another benefit of having that mindset is when you avoid pulling a new 4-star character, that means that you do not have to go and farm ascension materials. You don't have to farm level up materials for that character. You can save your resources, save your mora, and it's very, very nice to not have to spend your resin on things that don't really feel worthwhile, right? So yeah. Let's see here. In terms of banners in general, they're looking a bit greedy. Yeah. Lanyan is free since she's a leeway character. I love how this guy brought up Shenhe. So when this happened during the live stream, when I heard this, being said by the host, right? I kind of laughed a little bit. I smiled and I was like, oh, that's actually a really, really good, like, it's a good, what's it called, Easter egg, I suppose, right? It's a good like cameo, right? Basically, when this host mentions Shenhe, right, it goes to show that I think the developers of Genshin are very aware of what conversations are happening in the community, because for those of you who are not aware, Shenhe, I think, has not had a rerun banner since, how long has it been? I think it's been like over a year or something like that. It's been a long time since we've had a Shenhe banner, and like basically the amount of appearances that Shenhe has on banners it is like I think she is the most rare 5-star character to appear in the game in a banner, right? And so yeah, like a lot of people, it's kind of become like a joke or like an inside, it's like a meme, within the Genshin community, where a lot of people are like, man, the developers have completely forgotten about Shenhe. She just does not exist anymore. She is forgotten, right? And so yeah, the host bringing up this little nod, right? This little kind of like Easter egg, this cameo is kind of funny, kind of interesting. They know about what all the different Genshin players are speaking about, So yeah, let's see what they say about this. Chronicled Wish. Leeway characters, okay. Some characters won't be added to it. I completely forgot about the Chronicled Wish. I did not even remember what were the mechanisms of the Chronicled Wish. I didn't even remember how the Chronicled Wish worked, but basically, they reminded us, right? Where essentially the way that Chronicled Wish functions is that any old character who has had a minimum of 2 reruns in Genshin, they are eligible to appear on the Chronicled Wish. And the Chronicled Wish, which is kind of aimed more at newer players, it allows players to pull for older characters that have not appeared in game in quite a while, right? So I completely forgot about all of that, all of those details relating to the Chronicled Wish. And it's very interesting to have them bring it up and talk about it, right? Yeah, because I didn't even realize that this was necessarily a problem. I didn't think that it was going to be something where it causes the developers to have to make some changes or rework things or anything like that. So yeah, this was a very interesting conversation to listen to, right? But let's see what they say here. Starting from version 5.3, the restrictions on characters entering the Chronicled Wish will be loosened. Yeah, I think this is a very good thing to do. I think this is very wise, very smart, and I think that the original rules that they put in place for the Chronicled Wish, it was a little bit limiting. It was a little bit restrictive and not really great. So it's a good thing that they are realizing that and that they are kind of going back and fixing the mistakes that they made, right? There will be a Chronicled Wish launched in version 5.3. So what do we have here? We have Baizhu, we have Shenhe, Keqing, Ganyu, Xiao, Tartaglia, and Qiqi. Nice. Yeah, so, out of all these characters, right? So I do not have Ganyu, I do not have Tartaglia, I do not have Shenhe, and I do not have Baizhu, right? However, out of these characters, there are only 2 of them that I do not own, and I would not mind pulling for, right? That being Baizhu and Shenhe, right? In all honesty, I don't really have an interest in Baizhu. I think he's a fine Dendro character, but I don't really feel like I necessarily want him on my account. He's kind of like a character where if there's nobody better that is available or that is going to be released in the future, I can pull for him. But he is not a high priority for me. He's kind of just an extra luxury character where, if I can get him, great. If I can't get him, that doesn't matter. I don't care. It's not really something that I'll be sad about, right? So in reality, out of all of these characters on the Chronicled Wish, I think that Shenhe is probably the only character where I would want to pull for her, right? Now, the thing that I will say about Shenhe, right? This is a little bit of a tricky thing, right? I've talked about this in the past, and I'll tell you guys sort of the story again, and I'll explain it again for all of you out there. But if you guys have been tuning into my content for a while, you will probably know about this. I think the number 1 reason why I never pulled for Shenhe, right, is basically I came to this realization where I thought to myself, if I pull for Shenhe, I do not really have a space for her on the team, right? And what I mean by that is, basically Shenhe, she kind of has one job, and the job that she has is to support your cryo main DPS character and help them to deal more damage, right? That is her entire purpose, okay? So, let's say that you have Ganyu. Ganyu's your main primary DPS. You could run a team where maybe you want to do a Ganyu melt team. So you do Ganyu with Bennett, and then you do Sucrose or Venti or Kazuha or whatever, and then you do Shenhe as your 4th character, right? That could be a potential team setup. Just an example, right? Another example is instead of Ganyu, you could be using Ayaka, right? Ayaka is my number 1 favorite, character in the entirety of Genshin. I love her to death. You could be running, let's say hypothetically, a freeze team with Ayaka, where you do Ayaka with, Xingqiu, and then you have Venti or Sucrose or Kazuha, and then you have Shenhe, right? So, there are different teams that you could set up, but basically all of the teams that you will be using Shenhe on, it is going to be a team involving a cryo main hypercarry DPS, right? And so, on my account, I have my Ayaka, and I've loved my Ayaka to death. She is incredibly, very, very powerful and just an amazing character to use in combat, right? Um, Primarily in the game, I use my Ayaka on a freeze team just because I think that freeze is a very, very powerful setup where you can, essentially, you can like, I guess one way to describe it is stun lock these enemies, right? You can have these enemies constantly frozen and unable to move, unable to attack, and you can kill them while they're in this frozen state, right? So Ayaka freeze team is kind of like one of my main setups that I use. And to talk about the team setup, I have Ayaka, I have either Singcho or Ayato or Yelan, right? So I have a Hydro character. Then I have Kazuha, and then the fourth character on my team is Diona, right? So if hypothetically I were to, pull Shenhe and use Shenhe with my Ayaka, what that means is that I would have to replace my Diona with Shenhe. Now, the problem with that, right, is that basically taking away Diona from the team, you are taking away two different things, right? Number one, you are taking away a source of healing, just in case that you need a source of healing for your freeze team, right? You're taking away a source of healing, right? On top of healing, you are also taking away a shield. And what does that shield do? It gives you interruption resistance. It allows you to attack with your Ayaka and not be, not be worried about dodging enemy attacks and about, not being worried about like getting interrupted while you are doing an attack, right? Whether it's a, normal attack or whether it's an elemental skill or a burst or whatever, right? The shield is very, 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 valuable for Ayaka, right? So I think that taking away Diona off the team, it is not really ideal. It's not a very wise decision, right? And so you are taking away these sources of survivability. And when you bring Shenhe onto the team, the main thing, basically the only thing that Shenhe provides, is she gives your Ayaka, or whoever your cryo DPS is, she gives them an attack buff. That's it, right? I'm not saying that Shenhe is a bad support character, because she is not. It's just that I feel as if you are, using a very standard, typical cryo DPS team, Shenhe does not really fit in. You know what I mean? And yeah, let's say, so okay, let me take another example, right? If I were to hypothetically use my Ayaka on a melt team, just as an example, right? And let's say I were to run something like, let's say I ran like Ayaka with Bennett and maybe perhaps like, I don't know, Xiangling, Oppa Xiangling, right? And then I have like a fourth slot on the team, right? I think that I would probably still take Diona because, even though Bennett does provide healing, Diona has the shield that she can apply. And not only that, but obviously you want a second cryo character on the team so that you can get that, crit rate buff and whatnot. So I think that even on a melt team, pairing Ayaka with Diona is very valuable. It's a very good duo combo, right? And if I were to replace Diona with Shenhe on that melt team, obviously I would not really be lacking in terms of healing due to Bennett. Bennett's going to be very, very, valuable for that purpose. However, it will be Diona's shielding capabilities that will be, lacking. It'll be not there and not available. And so at that point, basically, I will not really be able to focus on constantly attacking the enemies without the need to dodge. You know what I mean? And I think like what makes it worse, right? If you were to look at the comparison between a melt team and a freeze team, right? The number one biggest benefit that a freeze team has, as in contrast to a melt team, is that on a freeze team, you are basically stun locking the enemies, you are freezing them, they're unable to move, unable to attack you. And so when the enemies are frozen, you don't really have this like requirement to dodge any attacks, right? And so, in a freeze team, you could actually make an argument saying that you don't necessarily need Diona shielding. You don't really. Diona shielding just makes it, it's basically a backup sort of insurance, kind of strategy, right? When you compare that to a melt team, for example, in a melt team, you are not stun locking the enemies, right? They will be constantly trying to attack you, trying to deal damage to you, and fighting back, right? And so in that scenario where you are running a melt team, you kind of want to have a shield to protect your on-field DPS character, right? And so I think that on a melt team, having Diona as the second cryo character, as the fourth character overall on the team, is very, very, very valuable. You can also, instead of looking at someone like Diona, you could look at someone like maybe Charlotte or maybe Layla, right? But I think that, taking whoever that second crowd character is, taking them out of the team and replacing them with Shenhe, it is not always the most valuable and the most optimal, change that you can make for the team, right? So, long story short, the reason why I never pulled for Shenhe and I still do not own her on my account is because, I felt like I could never find an optimal place for her to be on my cryo team. And I felt like, I just did not have that freedom, I suppose, right? But yeah, I think that, for anyone out there who has the Primo Gems and who wants any of these older characters, spending on the Chronicled Wish may not be a bad idea, especially if you're like a newer player who, would really benefit from having one or multiple of these characters, Yeah.
开放一次机会届时也会更多角色可以加入到这次节目当中。哦，太好了！那这样的话，
All right, let's see here. So we have the Chronicled Wish weapons: Primordial Jade Cutter, Summit Shaper, Unforged, Calamity Queller, Primordial Jade Wing Spear, Jadefell Splendor, Memory of Dust, Polar Star, Amos Bow. You know what's actually very interesting, chat? I think that out of all of these weapons here, I actually have one weapon that I legitimately do want, and it's a weapon that I've never, ever been able to pull before, which is the Primordial Jade Wing Spear. That weapon, it has been evading me for many years, right? In fact, I have Shao on my account. I have a Shao on my account. I ended up pulling for him, not because I liked him or not because I wanted him, but I pulled for him basically just because I was trying to, quote unquote, build pity. I was trying to, prepare myself for a future character banner. And I ended up getting Shao. I don't really like Shao at all, but I think that there's certain content out there where Shao is quite valuable, and he is quite a very useful, strong character, right? Right now, my Shao in-game is using this weapon right here, the Calamity Queller. So he is basically using Shenhe's signature weapon, right? What's going on, Yone? Welcome on in. The pain of building pity. It is very true. It is very true. Hope you're doing well, Yone. So my Shao right now is using Shenhe's signature weapon, right? I really want to get Jadewing Spear just so that I can give Shao a weapon that actually really does benefit him. Like it's specifically built for him, right? And what it will do is, let's think of a hypothetical situation, right? If hypothetically I were to pull for Shenhe, right? I do have my Calamity Queller, right? Calamity Queller is a weapon that I own. And if I pull for Shenhe, then it goes without saying. Like, very obviously, I am going to be giving Calamity Queller to my Shenhe. Why would I not? You know what I mean? And so, in that hypothetical scenario, where I pull Shenhe and I get Calamity Queller, my Shao is not going to have a polearm. He's not going to have a weapon at all available to him. I suppose I could give him a 4-star weapon. I could give him, like, Blackcliff Pole or whatever, but that's kind of like a very, cheap alternative that is not really ideal, not really optimal, not really a great effective choice, right? It's kind of just like a last resort type thing. So I think that out of all these weapons here, if I could get Primordial Jadewing Spear, that would be incredible.
Who's throbbing cock do I have to suck?
I appreciate the follow. Thank you so much, Yape. Welcome. I do apologize if I am, mispronouncing the username there, but welcome on in. I appreciate that. Yeah. The lovely follow alert. Yeah. A lot of people when they click the follow button, they are very surprised. Delta. That's actually, that kind of sounds like a very badass username. I like that. Delta's a good name. Yeah. Welcome on in, Delta. I appreciate the follow. Thank you very much. So yeah, like I think in a very ideal situation, I would love to pull for Primordial Jadewing Spear, and if I have the Primo Gems, I think that would be my initiative, right? Overall though, I think that with the Chronicled Wish announcement for version 5.3, other than Jadewing Spear and maybe possibly Shenhe, right? Everything else I don't care about. I have no interest in getting any of these other weapons. I have no interest in getting any of those other characters that were shown in the Chronicled Wish. So yeah. All right, let's see what else that they have for us. Is there anything else that they're talking about?
但是我钱包特别不是这样，别着急，我们既然提供了那么多选择，当然也会有福利等大家，帮助大家在这个新年成功与自己中意的人相处。首先是自选的私信活动，完成。
Lantern Lit Gathering, so we get a free 4-star character, right? Very nice. I think this is what Hum Music was talking about earlier, where he mentioned that you can get Lanyan for free if you don't want to pull on the rerun banners, which I think is a very fantastic, benefit, right, of the Lantern Lit Gathering. I will say it is very nice to get like constellations. So let's say that you could get like, a constellation for Yao Yao or for Shangling or, Sing Cho or whatever. That'd be great. But also getting Lanyan is an option, getting a brand new 4-star character. So it just depends on the individual player themselves, right? Let's see. Jade Cutter is kind of tempting for you. That's very fair. I can see why it would be tempting, Delta. one thing that I will say, I will share this perspective, this way of thinking with you, and maybe it'll help you to make a decision, possibly. But I remember there was somebody on Discord that was talking about, you know, the version 5.3, and somebody on Discord, they basically asked a question where they said, does anybody, you know, like any of the old characters or any of the new characters in Genshin who are sword characters, right? Do any of them really, really want Jade Cutter? Like, do any of them really desire, right? And basically, everybody who replied to that question, they said, no, there's no sword character in Genshin that really desires Jade Cutter, where Jade Cutter is like their number one best in slot sword, right? So essentially, Jade Cutter, I think what it is, Jade Cutter is a weapon where if you cannot afford to guarantee getting a signature weapon for a sword character on a banner, like let's see, who's a good sword character that has a signature weapon? Why am I blanking? And I can't think of an answer. This is very, very embarrassing that I can't think of a sword character that has a signature weapon. Okay, I mean, here's a random one, right? You can think about like Chiori, for example. Chiori has her own like signature sword weapon, right? If you do not have the primo gems to afford a signature sword weapon for a character, then I think Jade Cutter is it's like a sort of last resort type weapon where it's like, okay, I want to give this character a 5-star sword, not a 4-star sword, but I do not have their signature. What can I give them? Jade Cutter is your go-to. That is like your you know, backup plan, so to speak. But I don't think that there's a sword character out there where their ideal, optimal, best in slot sword is going to be Jade Cutter. So I think that, you know, unless you are the type of person where like maybe you have this mentality when you're playing Genshin where it's like I want to collect everything. I want to unlock every single weapon, every single character. I want to own all of them on my account. If you have that type of mentality, then that's totally fine. But if you don't have that type of mentality and you are picking and choosing certain things that you want or that you need on your account, I would say my advice to you is that Jade Cutter is not a necessity. It is a luxury. And if you want it, if you can afford it, go for it. But if you know, are sacrificing your primo gems to get Jade Cutter, and that may potentially stop you from getting a future character or a future weapon that you may want, I would stop and think about, do you really, really, really need Jade Cutter, right? It can be tempting. It can be very, very tempting to want all of the 5-star weapons, but do you really need it at the end of the day? Like, are you going to seriously suffer in the game if you don't own it? And if the answer is no, then maybe you should save your primo gems and maybe you should hold off on it, you know? So yeah. They should do this for other festival type events, like Windbloom will have 4-star selector for Mondstadt characters. That's a very good idea. That's a very, very good idea. I actually like that. Yeah. No, I agree with that. Yeah, no, I think like, you know, with, for example, if you talk about Windbloom Festival, right? I think maybe one of the reasons why they don't have a 4-star selector for that is because I think, you know, Genshin has been around for 3 years or 4 years or whatever, how long it's been released, right? It's not really a brand new gacha game. And so I think that a lot of the longtime players of Genshin, very likely they have the good majority of Mondstadt characters already Constellation level 6. You know what I mean? So if they did a 4-star selector for Mondstadt characters, I think that there's a very good chance that I think only the brand new Genshin players would really benefit from that, you know? And so they likely think about it where it's like, well, if only the new players are being benefited, it's not worth giving every single player a selector, you know? Because, yeah, I think, like, you can kind of look at it from the perspective of, like, well, is this a way for Hoyoverse, right, for the developers to earn money, right? I think that what they can do is not release a selector for Mondstadt, and that would potentially motivate people to pull on more character banners or to, you know, potentially like whip out their credit card and swipe and spend money. It might potentially generate more profit for them, and so it could be sort of like a business decision, you know. But yeah, no, I think that, you know, the whole Lantern Right selector thing, it's been a thing that they've been doing for a while, so I think that they're comfortable with it, and I think like what it has come to is essentially now that we've had multiple Lantern Rights and we've seen the selector, right, it would be kind of weird if they took away the selector from us. If they no longer did it for future Lantern Rights, I think it would be very suspicious, very weird. So I think that they kind of just yeah, they settled on doing it for Leeway, but then they were like, let's not do it for other regions so that they can potentially, you know, earn some profit and motivate more people to spend some money on the game, I suppose, you know. But maybe, you know, if you think about it, maybe in the future, like when, you know, Shinez Naya releases as a region, brand new region of the game, maybe at that point they will have like selectors for, I don't know, Inazuma or for Sumeru or whatever, right? Because by that time, those regions, Inazuma, Sumeru, and whatever, they're going to be considered quote unquote old regions, you know, kind of similar to how we feel about Mondstadt. But yeah, no, I will say, like, as a player, right, looking at this as a Genshin Impact enjoyer, right, as a consumer of the game, I think that having more selectors for more regions is something that I would very much enjoy. I think it would be something fantastic for me as a player. Yeah, if they could do it, fantastic. That would be a wonderful decision. But I'm not surprised if they don't. Clear up your mind. Unless they release a new 4-star with the event. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, very true. Okay, let's keep going here. Let's see what else that they talk about here.
女神们就可以邀约其中任意一个角色加入到自己的队伍中。我看到了刚才我们介绍的新角色蓝焰也在里面，没错。这个但是比起免费的4星角色我也很想要原石啊！你先别急啊，这次我们不仅有原石，还有精彩资源，我们还包办了女人的养成内容。在5点3万期间呢，
You can complete limited time login event to obtain Intertwined Fate times 10. Okay, so that's a 10 pull right there.
现实签到活动就可以领取总计10枚救援队。不仅如此，今年的海文
Lantern Right Thank You Gifts mails will include 16,000 Primo Gems, so another 10 pull.
把这邮件里除了会送出1000万原石之外，还将包含知识面、助手之窗在内的系列养成资源。哦，可以啊，从生产天赋到极简生用配色养成资源都有啊。当然，之前也和大家预告过的 Xbox。
I think that's okay. It's not nothing. It's not, like complete, total, absolute garbage. But obviously, as a player, I do desire more. Like, I think it would have been really nice. I will say, considering that Lantern Right is not really as big of an event compared to, like, the actual anniversary of the game, right? The Genshin Impact anniversary. I would say that, like, this is acceptable. It's not a bad reward, but it's also not incredible. I think the main thing that I walk away from this thinking is I now expect anniversary rewards to be much better than what we're getting for Lantern Right. I think that is kind of my thought process, right? As long as we are better compensated during anniversary, then 20 pulls is tolerable. It is okay. It's not horrible. But if anniversary, comes around and we only get, like, let's say 20 pulls during anniversary, I think I would be quite upset. I would be quite angry about that. Yeah, I will say, during anniversary, like this past year, right, they kind of brought up the announcement saying that there's going to be a free 5-star selector during every single anniversary where we get a free 5-star character or constellation. I think that's fantastic, right? That's great. But yeah, no, like, yeah, basically what this does is it kind of establishes a baseline. It establishes a bare minimum, and we need to remember this, and we need to make sure that in the future, any sort of major big events, they offer better rewards than what we are being given during Lantern Right, is what I would, walk away from this thinking. Yeah, it's not horrible. I will say, though, that, like, going back to the entire thing about how, they mentioned, I think it was, where was it? It was, like, somewhere here? Yeah, it was, like, right here, right? We've got Phase 1 Mavuika and Silali, both of them in Phase 1, right? I think that if there are a good substantial amount of players out there who are wanting to pull for both of these characters, I think that maybe 20 free pulls from the developers is not really going to be substantial for those players. Yeah, I don't know. Let me see here. Okay, so this is where we stopped off at. Let me continue the live stream here.
在5点3万期间呢，完成现实签到活动就可以领取总计10枚救援队。不仅如此，今年的海文大邮件里除了会送出1000万原石之外，还将包含知识面、助手之窗在内的系列养成资源。哦，可以啊，从生产天赋到极简生用配色养成资源都有啊。当然，之前也和大家预告过的 Xbox 4之1也会在5点3万期间通过邮件限时发给所有的运动。
These two are very adorable.
哎，除了刚才我讲那些。
Yeah, they already talked about this earlier in the live stream, so I don't know if they need to go over it again, but we'll listen to what they have to say. The elixir is a nice touch, though. It is for sure. I do agree with that, 100%. Yeah, I will say I do think that sanctifying elixir, as of right now, for me, it feels a little bit. Personally, it feels a little bit too rare. It feels like they could be a little bit more generous with it and give it maybe a little bit more often. But yeah, I mean, we'll take what we can get, right? Like, like I'll complain a little bit, but at the end of the day, free stuff is free stuff. So if they give out sanctifying elixir for free, I will gladly take it for free, But yeah, let's see what they have to say here. Yeah, don't miss out on lanterns, right? Okay. So I don't really know if I care that much about all these different, like the details of all these events. So we can probably skip over all of this. Is there anything else that they talked about in the live stream that's worth, listening to? Oh, here, I think the system optimizations. This might be a good thing to take a look at. Let me see here. At least make it as rare as the crown. Oh, for sure. No, I totally agree with that. Totally agree with that, Delta, because you know, I can speak sort of as a long-time Genshin player, you know, who's been at this game for many years now. I currently have, I think I have like maybe 20 crowns. I want to say like, yeah, 20 crowns or something like that stocked in my inventory, right? I have quite a few. And I feel like since I've been playing this game for such a long time, the exclusivity and the rarity of crowns has absolutely deteriorated over time. Like it's not as exclusive and not as rare as it was in the beginning of the game when I first started. And I feel like it's a little bit more common, a little bit more easier to get your hands on these days. So I would very much love Sanctifying Elixir to be more, you know, common, more accessible, you know, and wonderful, right, to obtain. Yeah. The permanent. Oh, did you? I think maybe you might have meant to type Osu, as in like the rhythm game, Osu Mania, maybe. I'm assuming that's what you meant to type, but I could be mistaken. I do know about the rhythm game. Yeah, yeah, the Osu gameplay. I personally am not really a rhythm game player. I'm not really an enjoyer of rhythm games. There's actually been only a single rhythm game that I've ever played in my life, which I am kind of sort of a little bit decent at. And it's interesting because some people out there, I've heard some people argue and say that this game is not a rhythm game, but the only game that I've ever played where I was like kind of sort of okay at, it was a game called Geometry Dash, right? I played that game and I was halfway decent. But any other rhythm game that I've ever experienced, I suck at it. I am just I can't play rhythm games properly like many other people can. So for me personally, the rhythm game is not really something that I'm very interested in, that I care that much about. I mean, it's nice that it's permanent content and it's nice that people out there get to enjoy it permanently, but it doesn't really affect me. Even after crowning all your mains and favorites, you still have like 20 crowns. Yeah, 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 yeah. No, it's a very common occurrence, I think.
就和以前一样，项目组会一直持续不断地关注游戏社会朋友们的意见和建议。这次也带来一些新的内容和大家分享，我们一起看看。在这些优化项目中，有一些我会单独调出来给大家讲讲。首先是提升指南的优化，我们在角色界面
Training guide I don't really care about. Yeah. Yeah, training guide is not really something that really affects me. I think it's mainly affecting newer players. Yeah, yeah, I think this is like a new player thing. If you're a new player, you really care about this. This is valuable, it's important. But for older players, I don't really think it matters that much.
和界面内容的排版也会变得更加的直观和清晰。同时，我们会在5.3版本将背包内剩
Increasing the artifact inventory limit. That's pretty good. So here's what I will say about this, right? The artifact limit. Um, I think that in the past there have been many moments where I've gotten, you know, close to like I think usually the number that I would get to in terms of artifacts was roughly about like 1400. Yeah, like 1400 artifacts or maybe 1500 artifacts or something like that. So I never really got like all the way up to 1800. But I know a lot of people who did and who really wanted artifact inventory limit to be increased, right? The one thing that I will say about this you know, quality of life update here, I think that, okay, number one, just to get this out of the way and say it, I think that this is absolutely very valuable. I think it's a great quality of life update. I'm not complaining whatsoever. But one thing that I will take note of, and I will state this, is that, you know, previously the developers, they added a quality of life update where you can take your artifacts that are, you know, 1 star, 2 star, 3 star, 4 star. You can take those artifacts and you can convert them into the XP bottles, right? The bottle XP material that you use to upgrade artifacts, right? Rather than having these excessive extra lower rarity artifacts sitting in your inventory. So when they added that quality of life update where you can take these, you know, bottles of XP for leveling up artifacts and you could stash them away, you could, you know, convert your low rarity artifacts into those bottles, I think that was an incredibly beneficial and valuable quality of life update. And when they did that, it kind of sort of made this right here to be not really as impactful, not really as significant, you know what I mean? Because, you know, I can speak from my experience, you know, what I do, the way that I play the game and that I farm artifacts is every other week, right? So not every week, but every other week on Sunday, you know, basically Monday through Saturday, and yeah, basically Monday through Saturday, I farm artifacts. Sunday, I farm artifacts. And then, you know, on Sunday, I go through my artifacts and I level things up. I throw some things in the strongbox, do my usual artifact organization stuff, right? When they added the quality of life update to convert the XP into the tiny little bottles, right? Basically what happened is, you know, I went from having like 1,400 artifacts in my inventory. I went from having roughly that number down to about half. So now, if you look into my inventory, I have roughly about, like counting every single 5-star artifact I have in my inventory, I have about, I want to say 600 or like 700 5-star artifacts. And so I feel like I will never, ever get close to having 2,100 artifacts in my inventory because I will always be converting the low quality, low rarity artifacts into XP, and I will always be, you know, organizing and you know, basically saving space, right, in my bag, and so I won't be in danger of overflowing with my inventory. So this is, again, I want to say this is a great quality of life update. I am not complaining, but the significance of it, the impact of it, I think is not as like big, not as powerful as it would have been before. So yeah. Kind of like TCG then. Yeah. The rhythm game to me is very much like TCG, where, the people who love it, the people who enjoy it, they can absolutely have a blast with it. They can have so much fun with it permanently. But for me, it's not really my cup of tea. Yeah. You also use the unused 5 stars in Strongbox. Exactly. Yeah. So, 1800, 2100 artifact space, it's not really problematic for me. It's not really something where I'm like, man, I wish they would continue to increase it. I think it's okay as it is right now. But yeah.
义务是上线提升至2100个。这个我很奇怪，我玩多少时间背包都增加了。另外还有 BOSS 挑战体验也将来一次实质的优化，玩家考虑了私起 BOSS 从5.3版本开始起，会在
Respawn immediately after defeat. This is a big quality of life update. This is huge. I really appreciate this a lot. I really appreciate this a lot. Yeah, no, like the entire process of fighting a boss and then having to be like, well, guess I'll teleport away for a couple minutes and then return to the same area after a couple minutes. It's like it was such a time waster, like it especially, like, let me give you this hypothetical example, right? Let's say that you are a veteran, Genshin player, right? And you have a good team of characters. You have strong, powerful characters. Sometimes you can kill these bosses within like less than a minute. There are players out there that can fight these bosses and kill them in like 45 seconds. Or maybe I would say, maybe some people might be able to clear these bosses. Let's be generous and let's say under 2 minutes, right? So you fight these bosses, you kill them very quickly. Then you have to stand around, you have to teleport away and stand around waiting for like 3 minutes for them to respawn, for them to come back. And it's like, you are taking a process of killing a boss, which is super quick, and then you are extending that process by multiple minutes, which do not need to be there, right? And you're making it to where, like, if these bosses were able to automatically respawn right away, you could farm a boss, and within like 5 minutes, you could kill the boss, let's say a minimum of 5 times, right? 1 time per minute, hypothetically, right? You're taking that, and then you are basically multiplying that by the amount of minutes that you have to wait each time for the boss to respawn. So what would take you like 5 minutes to kill a boss multiple times, it would take you, let's say, 10 minutes or 15 minutes to do. And that's just, it's a massive time waste. So this right here, having these bosses respawn automatically. Once you claim the reward, you defeat the boss, claim the reward. This is so nice. This is so good. Thank you for finally adding it to the game. Like, I can't believe it took them this long to, add this in, right? But yeah, I'm sure that every single player out there is very happy about this decision, without a doubt. No more teleporting? Yeah. Nuke it with Mualani. True. If you can nuke the boss, yeah. That's very true. Yeah.
也不用传到其他地方。我这个确实是实际啊，终于可以原地首发了。是的，那我们出发点肯定还是以大家游戏体验为第一位嘛。那5月3版的更多优化内容，旅行人们还可以关注后续的版本公告。
Ah, man, they're not going to talk about the other optimizations. What do they have on this list? Training guide, artifact inventory, boss challenge, not one style realm layout. Oh, this is Serena Teapot stuff. We don't care. Unlocks cross co-op mode for world levels 8 and 9. Wait a second. So this is saying that before version 5.3, world level 8 and 9 was not able to co-op with one another? That's kind of weird. The fact that this was not a thing that already existed in the game before, that's a little bit strange. That seems like basically a bug that should have been patched immediately. I don't know why they had to wait until version 5.3 to get that fixed. TCG stuff, don't really care about. We've got good old Da Wei, I remember that. Oh wait, I think this is the big moment of the live stream where they talk about future stuff. Let me see here. All right, let's see what they announced. After completing the version 5.3 Archon quest, there's still another tribe in Natlan we haven't met. Collective of Plenty. So Eon-san, okay. Veressa, Aoife. So Veressa, Verisa, and Aoife are 2 characters that we're going to meet in the future, okay? Are they going to be playable characters, or are they going to be NPCs? New characters preview. Okay. Holy moly. Who are these characters? Okay, so that is Ian-san, right? I don't know who this is. Motherfucker, that is... Oh, wait. Hold on. You know who this third character model looks like to me? So, if you go to the Flower Feather clan, right? The Flower Feather clan, which is Chaska's clan. If you go to where the reputation quests are, the triangle on the map, right? You go to the reputation area, there is an NPC that is standing there, and you talk to him and you get the reputation quest and whatever. He's wearing like this cowboy hat and whatever, and he looks like a Westerner. This kind of reminds me of that NPC. So I wonder, is this guy going to be a part of Chaska's... Is he going to be a part of Chaska's tribe? Or is he going to be a different tribe member? Is he going to be like from... No, not Masters of the Nightwind. He might be from... Iansan's clan? He does have a bird, though. Wait, is this... This might be the bird that was shown earlier. Where did they show it? I think they showed it somewhere over here. Yeah, this thing right here. This little pipsqueak thing. Is that the same bird? Hold on. Where's the screenshot? Give me the screenshot. There we go. Is this the same bird? Yo. Oh, okay. Interesting. I wonder how he's gonna look in game. He's probably gonna be sexy as hell. He's probably gonna be really handsome, really good looking. Let me see here. Ian-san, Verisa, and Aoife. So this is Veresa or Verisa, and then this is Aoife. Interesting. Okay. So, I have seen a lot of discussion about these characters, on Discord and whatever, and I believe that 99.99% of the Genshin community knows that this character is Skirk. I'm at least assuming that that is correct. It could be wrong. There's a chance, but I think that everyone believes that this character right here is Skirk. And if it is, then if this is Skirk, please, dear God, please, I beg of you, make Skirk playable. I want Skirk to be playable so bad. I like Skirk's design. I think she is so incredibly pretty. I really like Skirk. And I hope that she has some like really cool badass abilities, because I still remember that cutscene in that quest where she opens up like this teleporting portal, right? She opens this like black hole, and then she like takes Tartaglia. She like grabs him by the scruff of his clothing, and she like tosses him in there like a rag doll. And I was like, oh my god, this character is so incredibly badass, and she is a mommy character. And I was like, give me Skirk. I want Skirk so bad. Yeah, that cutscene, it will forever remain in my mind. I love that cutscene. Okay, so if this is Skirk, that's figured out, that we know that, okay? I don't know who this is. I don't know who this is. I don't know who this is. She does like a tail on her with a pitchfork. Huh. Why does she have a knife? That is so, ooh. That looks very scary. The silhouette, at least. It looks like she has a cupcake on her head. Kind of cute. The hat that this character is wearing, it reminds me a little bit of Chaska's hat or Clorin's hat. But I don't know who this is. I really don't. And then, okay, this silhouette here, right? The one with the antlers or the horns, right? There is a... Oh my god, what is her name? I think I need to Google this. Hold on. Let's open up Google. Let me see here. Grand... Wait, what? What the hell just happened? Hold on, give me a second. Grand Blue Fantasy Characters. Images. Is it her? I think it's her. So hold on. Open image in new tab. Did it work? Nice, yes. So this character from Grand Blue Fantasy, I don't know what her name is, but that silhouette reminds me of basically a short-haired version of this character. Yeah, that is like immediately what I thought of. And I really wonder if they took inspiration from this. But yeah. Okay, that's fascinating. So this is interesting because from what we know, apparently, these first three silhouettes, they are all from Natlan, right? They're all within the region of Natlan. Skirk is basically just not from any region at all. She like lives in, I don't know, the void of space or whatever, right? She has her own special realm that she exists in. I wonder where these three are from. Are they from Natlan? Are they from... Could one of them be like from Shneznaya or something? Let's see. Some of them are locals from Natlan. Others hail from nations you're already familiar with. Okay, so Sumeru, Inazuma, Fontaine. Okay. There'll be some, as I mentioned in the version 5.0 special program, who are closely connected to the very fate of Teyvat. I think they're talking about Skirk. Are they talking about any of these three, though? Ooh, that's interesting. Huh, okay. Yeah, I don't know who these three on the right side are. I'm very curious to know. Huh, okay. Because, like, the one thought that I had, I'm pretty sure, did they talk about it? They may be talking about it in the future. Yeah, they do. Okay, so let's listen. Yep, okay. Yeah, that's it. So this is the area, apparently, which is, I guess, a part of Shneznaya. I wonder if one or multiple of these new characters is from Nodcry, or maybe they're stationed in Nodcry. Ooh, okay. Southern Snezhnaya. Interesting. So, are they going to wait until version 6.0 to release Nodcry, or are we going to be able to access Nodcry before version 6.0? Because if we get to visit it before version 6.0, that'll be actually pretty cool. Because then we get to have get a little sample, a little taste of Snezhnaya, you know? That'll be pretty cool. Numerous factions, okay. Vastly different. New gameplay preview. Oh yeah, they mentioned this. They did mention this. Major gameplay module. You can unleash your creativity to turn what's already in Genshin Impact into your own unique gameplay stages. What does that mean? Does that mean that they are giving us like... I don't like when he described it. It kind of reminded me. They did an event. I don't remember when it was. Maybe it was in. Was it in Sumeru that they did this? Where, like, basically it was like, you know, if you're familiar with the game Mario Maker, you know, Super Mario Maker, right, where you kind of design your own levels and stages and whatever. This is what it sounds like. Where it's kind of like that limited event. Invite your friends or play with strangers to solve puzzles, fight, or compete. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, this is definitely sounding like that limited event. So, if this is going to be a permanent game mode in Genshin, kind of similar to the rhythm game, this is going to be very cool. I think I am looking forward to this sort of Mario Maker thing. I think having this as permanent content in Genshin will be so nice. It'll be so fun. Another thing that I really want, I'm having trouble remembering whether they talked about it at all. But one thing that I'm very interested in is, you know, the... What is it called? Oh, I'm blanking right now. The hide and seek event. Is it? It's not Wind Trace. Wind Trace, is that the name of it? The hide and seek event that they do in Mondstadt. If they make that permanent content, or if they already have made it into permanent content, that is another thing where it's like, I am so here for it. I am absolutely totally down for that to be permanent content. That would be amazing. Okay, is there anything else that they share? I think this might be the end of the live stream. Yeah, I think this is the end. I don't think that they announced anything else here. But of course, you know, shout out to Dawei, shout out to the hosts of the live stream. They did a good job. Very, very nice. Yeah, no, but there was a lot of like good announcements during this live stream. I think there was a lot of stuff that I am looking forward to, stuff that I'm excited about, and I love the fact that they were able to showcase, like, you know, for example, the silhouettes and showcase what they're working on in the future, you know. Okay, let me see what messages did I miss here. So you said, you think that's an Inazuman, then a big Melusine, then a Fontanian or Fontesian chef. Oh, okay. I can see the chef. The chef one makes sense. I don't know about the other two. I would not be surprised if the one you said was Inazuman. I think that could make sense as well. But I don't know about the one with the horns. The one with the horns, she looks very interesting. I wonder where she could be from. Yeah. Southern Snezhnaya, where Lieben got robbed. That's right. Lieben did mention that. I think, like, it's really funny. Lieben is a reoccurring NPC that we occasionally get to chat with, and I feel like Lieben has some of, like, the best dialogue, which, like, hints at future content, and it's like, we have to listen to what he says, and we have to, like, sort of, just, like, grab onto the information, the little breadcrumbs that he drops for us, and we have to hold on to it and sort of analyze it. I think it's very interesting, you know? But yeah, Lieben is a Giga Chad. I love Lieben. Let me see here. Okay, what messages did I miss here? Nodcry is gonna be the summer event map, but instead of just an event map, they make it permanent. I kid you not. I think that the summer event... So, okay, let me clarify, right? The very, very first summer event that they did with Klee and Jean and whatnot, right? The very first summer event where they had the... I think it was the Golden Archipelago was the name of it. That was perfect. I loved that summer event, right? I think the next time that they did it, right? The next time that they did the Archipelago, they changed some things, and I was not a fan of the second version of it. I think the original was better, right? So if they did the original, I would be totally on board with that. But the later versions of it, I did not really vibe with. I thought the changes were unnecessary, and I thought that it was not very entertaining, in my opinion. But yeah. That would be pretty cool if Nodcry was that. I think that'd be pretty damn cool. Permanent domain builder, basically Mario Maker. Okay. Yeah, no, like Mario Maker, Wind Trace, I would love all of those as permanent content. That would be amazing, amazing. First version of Wind Trace, yes, 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 yes. I think that is a very, very specific, very good call out right there. I remember they made the change to Wind Trace. The change that they made to Wind Trace was so bad. It was so bad. Like the original that they had for Wind Trace was actually legitimately fun. It was good. And then I think like what they did with the changes was they made it to where it was I think what they did was they kind of made it to where the original version, I think it was balanced, right? You could play as a hunter, you could play as a hide and seek person, right? Where you go and you hide from the hunter, right? And I felt like it was very balanced, you know. And then when they made the change in Wind Trace, I feel like what it kind of did was it kind of gave a little bit more of an advantage to the hunters, and it made it a little bit less fun to be someone who is hiding, you know. I really did not enjoy the change at all. Yeah, it was not my cup of tea. So I think the original Wind Trace brings that back as permanent content. I'm all for it. 100%. 100%. Yeah. Very, very cool. Yeah, awesome. Good stuff. That right there, ladies and gentlemen, is the version 5.3 live stream. A lot of exciting stuff announced. A lot of stuff that, I kind of brushed over it because I didn't really care about it a lot. It was mainly just like descriptions of very specific events that we're going to be seeing later in the game. But yeah, overall, I think that, this live stream was a positive experience. I think it was very nice getting to see a lot of exciting content to, come up in version 5.3. The roadmap was an amazing touch to the usual patch live stream. Yes, totally agree with that. Totally agree. Like, I think that what it does is it allows the players to see, okay, these developers, they clearly have some kind of a plan in their head. They have an idea of where they want to go, and they're working towards it, right? And it allows the players to feel, reassured. Let's go, Yvain Domain. I appreciate it. Holy moly. Yvain the legend with a gift sub. I appreciate you, Yvain. You're a homie. Hell yeah, baby. Now Delta gets to use all of these amazing emotes. Early Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas indeed, Yvain. Hell yeah. I appreciate the generosity, Yvain. And I wish you and your family a very wonderful, very happy holiday season, very Merry Christmas. Hope you guys are able to enjoy, the upcoming Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. Yes, sir, yes, sir. Um, Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, as I was kind of trying to say there, basically, I think that revealing the roadmap and teasing some of the future content, I think it gives what's it called? I think that it gives the players reassurance that they can trust the developers. The developers know what they're doing, and they're trying to make sure that the players have a good experience in the game in the future, right? Same to you. Hope you get a chance to get some R&R with the fam. Yeah, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I don't know if we're gonna be doing any like special Christmas traditional stuff, right? I think unfortunately me and my brother are a little bit too old to do the whole milk and cookies hiding from Santa type thing. But we might be able to exchange some gifts and just basically be in the company of family and enjoy a good holiday. Yeah, yeah, I very much appreciate it, Yvain, very much so. Elf on the Shelf. True, 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 true. I like I've always seen Elf on the Shelf, on social media and whatever. Like I've seen other people out there do the whole Elf on the Shelf thing, and it's always been very entertaining, always been very fun to see it. But I've never, like me myself, I've never fully understood it, and so yeah, I feel like it's not really my type of like tradition, I suppose, but it's a very fun thing. Um, yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay. Have you seen the developer discussions? I have not. I have not. Is there anything like fascinating that they reveal in there that they did not talk about in the live stream? Because if there is, I can take a look at it for sure, and we can see whether it's some interesting developments, interesting changes, right? Oh, okay, okay. Yeah, I'll pull up the developer discussion. So I see this one right here, which says cross co-op mode now available and increase artifact inventory limit. But other than this one, I don't see anything else. Hmm. 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 Is that the only one? This one's from November. Yeah, let's click on this one. Let's see. Cross co-op mode now available for world levels 8 and 9. Okay, let's see here. Visit other travelers' worlds more freely. Cross co-op mode now available. In order for you to enjoy a more comfortable co-op experience and adventure with your friends with more ease, starting from version 5.3, travelers with world levels 8 and 9 will be able to freely enter each other's worlds. Nice. Seamless, repeatable boss fights. This was in the live stream, right? Boss fights will respawn immediately after collecting the rewards. Let's see. Upgraded recommendations to quickly select suitable artifacts. To help you access artifact recommendations at your fingertips and easily gauge the quality of certain artifacts, we have made the following optimizations in version 5.3 to cut down on steps when looking for suitable artifacts, so building your character will be more hassle-free. Highlighted recommended affixes. Ooh. Oh, wait a second. This right here is actually really good. Wait, they highlight the ones that actually benefit the character you're building. That is actually good. In the new version, when you view artifacts on the character interface, the recommended main and minor affixes for the character will be highlighted to help you quickly decide if an artifact suits the character, letting you pick the right ones to enhance or equip. At the same time, in the sorting menu, the recommended affixes will be displayed at the top with a thumbs up special reminder. That is really, really good. That is so nice. So nice. To help you save time on calculations and quickly determine the value of artifacts, in the new version, when enhancing artifacts or using compare to view artifact stats, you'll be able to see the number of times each minor affix has been enhanced. Wait, so, okay, I think they have this in, is it Honkai Star Rail or is it Zenless Zone Zero? Or is it both of them? I think they have this in the other games. This is huge. This is good. This is really, really, really good. You get to see how many times it rolled into a stat, and whether it was like a high roll or a low roll or whatever. Yo. Okay. This may be one of my favorite quality of life updates right here. I really like this. Yeah, this is going to be really good. Really, really good. I like the highlighting. I like the numbers next to it. Yeah, I'm all for this. Okay. In version 5.3, when equipping artifacts, you can view the artifacts used by recently active players from a convenient one-stop interface via artifact recommendations in the top right corner to easily gather any required information. You can also directly click on the recommended sets, main affixes, minor affixes on this interface to quickly filter existing artifacts. Wait, that... Oh, that is nice. Oh, that is beautiful. That is so good. I mean, like, you know, I think that the filter that they do have, you know, at the bottom left of the screen, I think the filter is very nicely done. I think it's a good filter, but having this quick filter right here at the top right, you know, of the screen, I think this is also good because you have an idea of the recommended artifact set, as well as you have, you know, recommendations for, you know, main stat and substats, right? So it's like, as they describe it, it's kind of like a one-stop shop. You know, you get to see everything in one place, right? Whereas on the bottom left, you can only filter it based off of your knowledge, right, in your head. You know, you don't get to see what other people recommend, right? So yeah, this is really, really good. I think it'll be very beneficial for like players out there who don't know a lot about like theory crafting and they don't go and watch guides on YouTube and whatever. They're kind of like a little bit more newer to the game, so they rely a lot more on recommendations and whatever. But overall, it'll help everybody. It's not just certain people, right? Use the recommended order option has been added to the sorting menu. This can arrange artifacts based on their compatibility with your characters. Wait, let me see here. Before enabling, okay. That is an ugly artifact right there. I personally would throw away this artifact. Okay, what does it look like after you flip it? So, artifacts will be ordered according to the recommended affixes for that character. Oh, okay, I get it. So, okay, in this first screenshot, right, basically there's one good substat, which is crit damage. Everything else for Zhongli is not really necessary, not really, you know, needed, right? And then in screenshot number 2, you have crit damage and you have HP, flat HP. I mean, it's not super impressive, but HP is beneficial for Zhongli, so it puts it, like, near the top, it looks like. Okay, interesting. So then what this means is that if you set this filter when you're sorting your artifacts, then it seems as if the artifacts that you are willing to throw away, willing to, you know, strongbox or use it as XP or whatever, those artifacts will be lower. They will be, like, at the bottom of the list, supposedly, right? Very interesting. Artifact inventory limit has been increased to 2,100. And that's the end of the developer discussion. I'm going to be honest, this is a massive W. This is a really, really, really good quality of life update. I like this a lot. I think that maybe this stuff might have existed before in Honkai Star Rail and in Zenless Zone Zero, but the fact that we are getting it in Genshin, I'm very happy about that, right? Yeah, the highlight as well as the like recommended substats and whatever, like all of this stuff is really, really, really good stuff. Also, yeah, like being able to see how many rolls went into each stat, that is huge. That is incredibly valuable, incredibly good. Damn, I did not think that I could be even more excited for version 5.3. I thought that everything in the live stream, that was like, you know, all of the stuff that we'd be getting. But this is legitimately very, very impressive. Yeah. Yeah, massive, massive win. Massive W. I like this a lot. I like this a lot. I really hope that, you know, the devs, I hope that they continue to basically receive feedback from the players and then use that feedback to improve the game and be constructive, right? Because yeah, this is exactly what I'd like to see from Hoyoverse. This is what I like to see a lot. Really, really good stuff. Really good stuff indeed. Cool. Awesome. Well, there we go. There is the official developer discussion that happened on the 18th of December. So that was what, like 3 days ago, 2 days ago, something like that. Really, really impressive information that they've put out. I'm very happy about all this. Good stuff indeed. Yeah, very, very cool. Awesome. They made it easy to build characters, especially now that you need to have a lot of characters for Imaginarium Theater. Yes, I agree. Yeah, I think that with Imaginarium Theater, these quality of life improvements have kind of become a necessity of sorts, where it's like, if you do not have these quality of life improvements, players suffer, and they feel like they are not able to tackle all the sort of new content, including Imaginarium Theater, without a doubt. Yeah, for sure. Yep. This is absolutely very beneficial stuff to be very happy about, be very excited about. I like this a lot. All right. In that case, chat, there we have it. That is the entirety of version 5.3, the live stream, as well as the developer discussion posted on HoYoLab on December 18th. It seems like we have a lot of brand new content to look forward to, a lot of really, really, really nice, amazing quality of life improvements that we can look forward to in version 5.3, which should be arriving, I believe, on January 1st, 2025, or maybe January 2nd, depending on time zones and whatnot. But I am definitely looking forward to seeing the new content, definitely looking forward to seeing Mavuika and Sitlali. Yeah, it's going to be a very fun time, and I'm glad that we are basically moving away from the recent filler patches of Genshin. Thank you guys so much for watching this little video. I appreciate it a lot, and as always, I do typically stream on Twitch, so you can check me out on Twitch if you want. But yeah, that'll be all for the analysis of the live stream and the information announced. But yeah, all right, peace out. See you later. Bye-bye.